/free. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ziprecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ziprecruiter.com/free to try it for free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free.
Did you catch Luisito's header?
Yeah, I just recorded it on my new Samsung A36 5G phone I got for free at Total Wireless.
Oh, I'm actually live streaming the whole match with my new Samsung Tab A9 that I also got free at Total Wireless.
I got that tablet too.
And I got that phone too. We both got both.
Go!
Switch to Total Wireless and get both the Samsung A36 5G and the Samsung Tab A9 for free. For a limited time while supplies last, valid in store. Requires new phone activation on a Total 5G Unlimited plan or higher external port and ID verification and new activation on the Total 5G Unlimited 6-month tablet plan. Restrictions apply.
That'll be 30 even.
That's 90 points! Sorry, that was a lot. Now that I'm getting 3 times the points on food and fuel with the Navy Federal More Rewards American Express card, I get a little too hyped sometimes.
Cool. Would you like your receipt?
In the bag! Sorry, in the bag, please.
Learn more about the everyday, everywhere Navy Federal More Rewards American Express card at NavyFederal.org. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
Parenting is hard. Technology can make it harder. The Family Media Plan developed by the American Academy of Pediatrics helps make it easier. Go to healthychildren.org/media plan today to create the media plan that's right for your family.
When you bundle renters and auto with Progressive, you can save while protecting your most valuable possessions, like your really expensive limited edition sneakers and your new suit for your cousin's wedding. Except you never actually bought the suit because you can't stop buying sneakers. So you show up to the wedding looking like you're going grocery shopping. But hey, at least your sneakers will look good in the pictures. Until you're cropped out of every last one of them. So go ahead and get Progressive, so you can save while protecting the things that matter to you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Injury Lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it. Go to ritchielaw.com.
Get in the hole!
That's ritchielaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. Partly cloudy, hot and sticky this afternoon with a high of 92, feeling more like 99 with the heat index. A very small chance of a thunderstorm this afternoon and evening. Lots of fireworks shows tonight. For the most part, those should be just fine. 70 overnight tonight, and it will be a hot 4th of July. Great day to head to the pool, to the lake, somewhere cool. A high of 93 with a heat index in the upper 90s. And as I mentioned, a very small chance of a storm.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 3 o'clock check of your money. Dow Jones up 344 points to 44,828.
Bryce in the pocket, steps up, eludes the rush, throws, end zone, caught, Adam Thielen, touchdown!
He'll toss it that way to Hampton, and he is in. Touchdown, Carolina.
Bailey, shotgun, snap left hashes, QB keeper, dives forward, touchdown. Bailey is 3rd of the night.
Cooper faces up with 5 and 4, drives Davis, spins, waiting, fades away, and hits!
Game over! Series over! Sebastian! The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan.
It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Let's go and get things started. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Max Gore producing the show. Max, there's no big 3 at 3. There's one big damn story right now. Hit the breaking news. Max, get the music ready. Get the pump it up ready.
It's ready.
Nikolaj Ehlers, 6-year contract with the Carolina Hurricanes at $8.5 million a year. The free agent frenzy continues. Presented by John Heister Chrysler Dodge Jeep. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. We got Nikolai Ehlers, baby. We got Nikolai Ehlers. 6 years, $8.5 million a year, baby. Let's pump it up. Let's go. Let's pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. This Canes team got better this offseason, folks. It got better. Crank that music. Crank that music, Max. Let's go. Don't you know? Pump it up. I said crank the music, Max. We got Nikolai Ehlers, baby. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Yeah, that's right. Pump it up, Max. We got Nikolai Ehlers, folks. News just happened. Dave Pagnotta, fourth period. As I catch my breath. Dave Pagnotta, fourth period. Reported the terms. 6 years, $51 million total. So that's $8.5 million a year. You got to think about what this Canes team has added. You added a top four defenseman in Keandre Miller. Now you have Alexander. I'm sorry. I'm excited here, Max.
I'm
excited.
I couldn't tell.
Excited.
It's good value too. I love that. I love that number.
It's not. I don't think it's an over. I think that was right around what people were expecting. 8.5. Now the question was, does he go 6, 7 years? How long is the term going to be? 6 years, $8.5 million for a guy who is a consistent goal scorer in the NHL. I'm talking consistently 24, 25, 26, 27 goals. Now, he hasn't been a 30-plus goal guy yet in the NHL. Keyword, yet. He's been on pace to be a 30-plus goal guy. But he hasn't reached that yet because sometimes, dealing with injuries, he hasn't played a full season. Again, there have been stretches over an 82-game season where he was on that pace, though. Let's be honest, folks. This Canes team needed goal scoring. They only had, coming back from last year, Sebastian Aho, Andrei Svechnikov, Seth Jarvis as 20-plus goal guys. That's it. That's it. This team needed scoring on their top line. And if you haven't heard the news, just tuning in, Nikolai Ehlers signing with the Carolina Hurricanes, 6-year contract, $8.5 million a year. Max, we're going to get into at 3:15 about what the Canes can still do, now that they've officially made this move. But when you look at what this team has done over the last 3 days, you got a top four defenseman in Keandre Miller. You got younger in that regard. And you got a top-line forward. Like Nikolai Ehlers alongside Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis, one heck of a top line. And Nikolai Ehlers is a guy that's not afraid to shoot the puck. Just a couple of seasons ago, he averaged 3.9 shots on goal a game. So this guy's not afraid to shoot at volume, which we all know Carolina Hurricanes aren't afraid to shoot the puck at volume, Max. Not afraid of it. But this team has gotten better than what it was. Now, we can have the longer-term conversation of, can this team beat the Florida Panthers? We'll have that conversation in a little bit. Because obviously the Florida Panthers are the standard. Now, you can probably beat the Florida Panthers in a regular season game this calendar year because they're probably still hungover from their celebrations. That's, again, separate conversation. But when you look at what this team has done, they've built scoring depth now. Because you look at it, Nikolai Ehlers probably going to play in your top line with Aho and Jarvis. Well, guess what? That pushes Svechnikov down, air quotes, down. Does he play on a line with Taylor Hall as another winger? Then that puts Stankoven down with Martinook, which then moves down Jackson Blake. We'll actually get into the Jackson Blake of this all potentially coming up and how this impacts everything else. Is this the setup for the next thing? Because we saw reports today from Dave Pagnotta, Chris Johnston of The Athletic, Pagnotta of the fourth period, about what's the dominoes that would fall. So the teams that missed out on Nikolai Ehlers, okay, what's the backup plan? Do I go sign a Jack Roslovic? Do I now go the trade route to get a top six forward? Well, the Carolina Hurricanes don't have to do that. They just simply don't have to do that now. Now, the Canes could still go the trade route if they want to add somebody, but in my eyes, this team has gotten better. They needed a consistent goal scorer that can play in their top 6. They have that. They needed to add that. So they got it. They needed a top 4 defenseman. They got it. They got a young, up-and-coming top-end prospect in Alexander Nikishin that'll be a full-time player this upcoming year. On paper, this team looks better than what it was. Now, are there still improvements that be made? Yes, absolutely. We have heard Eric Tulsky say on this show and in press conferences, until we have the 20 best players in the league, we're not going to stop. And here's the best part, in my opinion, about this signing, Max, other than obviously getting a capable goal scorer and someone that can help your team right away. You didn't have to trade for him. It didn't cost you a first-round pick, second-round pick, or any current players on your roster in order to go get them. Only thing it took was just cash, which you had to spend. So $8.5 million a year for for Nikolai Ehlers. $8.5 million a year over 6 years. That's the terms of the contract, according to Dave Pagnotta. The NHL Network actually has it up on their television right now on the bottom, like lower third scroll. So 6 years, $8.5 million a year for Nikolai Ehlers. This team added what it needed in Nikolai Ehlers. Now, how much of a difference does that make in the playoffs? Valid question. He hasn't been the best playoff performer, though this past season in 2 rounds of the playoffs, he had 5 goals. Now, the Winnipeg Jets overall have been an underachieving team in the playoffs. I don't know, that's a byproduct of when your goaltender and hasn't been playing great, and Connor Hellebuck, and you're constantly playing from behind in games, well, that can obviously factor into your goal scoring as well when other teams just ping you down, lock you down. Maybe that's a byproduct of that. But this year, they got to the second round of the playoffs, lost to the Dallas Stars, 5 goals scored in the playoffs for Nikolai Ehlers. Can he be a consistent playoff performer? By all like the advanced numbers and people that really study advanced analytics and when it comes to the NHL, a lot of people always say that, hey, Nikolai Ehlers, in terms of his puck possession numbers, his ability to carry the puck into the zone, especially those kinds of things that he can bring, fits into the Carolina Hurricanes style of puck possession. Now, we talked to Eric Tulsky yesterday, and Eric Tulsky actually has written about this in the past before he even became a general manager, back when he used to be a consultant with analytics for hockey teams around the NHL about 12 years or so ago, about how teams that carry the puck into the offensive zone generally are more effective than just the general dump and chase. Now, he even talked about it yesterday about how Carolina is not afraid to just dump the puck into the zone because it's the fastest way for them to get into the zone and go possess the puck. But one thing that I will say was missed when Carolina traded away Martin Necas last year, especially on the power play, was someone who had the ability to carry the puck into the zone on power plays. And I think this is something where you might see Nikolai Ehlers thrive in Carolina, is the ability to actually carry the puck into the offensive zone. I think those are different things that might not be tangible for us when it comes to just the traditional counting stats of goals and assists and plus minus. But overall, he's been a very responsible player in terms of possessing the puck, getting pucks towards the net, everything that the Carolina Hurricanes want to do. He's a system fit for Carolina on top of already being a consistent goal scorer as well. Again, generally a 25 goal scorer throughout his career. Yeah. And he's been, I think, 8-9 years now of 20-plus goals in the NHL. That's something that this Canes team desperately needed to have. Needed to have that top-end goal scorer.
Yeah, and those zone entries on the power play will be crucial because that's one of the components that's, whenever you see the team kind of go on those droughts on the power play, that is something that's missing, is getting those clean entries and setting up on the power play time. So adding him to that could be crucial, and hopefully will help avoid those typical kind of droughts on the power play we've seen over the last couple of years.
Also, here's the thing as well. By the way, you can join us on 99.9 The Fans YouTube page. Everyone that's watching live right now, shout out to all of you guys. I see you guys leaving all thoughts in the comment section. I'm going to go point out something that Jay just said in our comments section. I thought good players didn't want to sign in Carolina. Guess we can put that to bed. Go ahead and put that to bed. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. The free agent frenzy presented by John Heister Chrysler Dodge Jeep in Lillington continues here on 99.9 The Fan. Again, the breaking news, if you have not heard it, the Carolina Hurricanes have signed Nikolai Ehlers to a 6-year contract at $8.5 million a year. How does this set up the Carolina Hurricanes to still make more moves? We'll discuss that in 2 minutes. Stick around.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. All kinds of beers and thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low. It just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
With curbside pickup and delivery available, you'll always find what you love, only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end.
The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
You'll be one smart cookie when you try Bluebell Cookie Cake Ice Cream. A sweet cream ice cream loaded with chocolate chip cookie cake pieces and swirls of chocolate and vanilla icing. This cookie cake ice cream really takes the cake.
The good old days are being made right now.
The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream, now available at Wegmans.
Welcome to Take 5 Oil Change.
Thanks. Got my seat cushion, crossword puzzle, and oh, can't forget the hand sanitizer. Okay, show me the waiting room.
No need for all that. You can stay in your car.
I'll stay in my car. Get out.
Yep, you stay in. It'll just be 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Get out.
Go ahead, sit back and relax.
Well, I guess I'll save all this for the DMV. If only they took 10 minutes, am I right? I'm sorry.
Take 5. The stay in your car 10-minute oil change.
If you missed it, the breaking news, Carolina Hurricanes signed forward Nikolai Ehlers to a 6-year, $8.5 million a year deal. So $51 million total over 6 years. The release max actually just came through from the Carolina Hurricanes about 10 minutes ago or so, but we saw the news just before the show started. So everything has just been a little bit of a whirlwind, I guess you can say. He's netted 20-plus goals in 8 out of 10 years in the NHL. 8 out of 10 seasons, he's netted 20-plus goals. That is consistent scoring, again, that this team has not had. This team has continued to search for and try and find a top 6 forward that can score on a consistent basis. They tried it with Jake Gensel. They tried it with Mikko Rantanen. Now, they weren't able to re-sign Jake Gensel because they were just in a penny pinch a couple of years ago because you didn't know about Jack Drury and his restricted free agency and arbitration. You didn't know potentially with arbitration and restricted free agency with Martin Necas. You also had a restricted free agent in Seth Jarvis. You were trying to work all those things on a super tight cap crunch. You didn't know exactly what you were going to be able to give Jake Gensel. So unfortunately, you lost out on Gensel. They tried this past season with Mikko Rantanen. We all know that story, but it led us eventually to this. Again, we're Nikolai Ehlers, again, part of the Carolina Hurricanes. 6 years, $51 million a year for Nikolai Ehlers, coming over from the Winnipeg Jets, which has been a really good team, by the way. Winnipeg Jets were the President's Trophy champions last year, top team in the regular season. They got to the second round of the playoffs. They lost to the Dallas Stars. Coming over from a pretty good team that consistently wins. Now, the question is going forward, now that you do have Nikolai Ehlers, again, as part of the free agent frenzy presented by John Heister Chrysler Dodge Jeep in Lillington. the question is going forward now, what's next? What's next for this team? So $8.5 million a year. You actually look at the salary cap that is now available for the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, according to Puckpedia, which is one of the websites out there that covers the NHL, or at least gives a lot of the breakdown in terms of player contracts, how much each player has left on their contract in terms of how many years, the average annual value, the salary cap available, all those kinds of things. The Carolina Hurricanes, according to Puckpedia, have about $10.6 million in salary cap available. But factoring into that salary cap is also some players like Bradley Nadeau, who's on an entry-level contract, as well as a guy like Tyson Jost on an entry-level, who's on a two-way contract. Players that you can easily drop down. So, I mean, you're really more looking like just over $11.5 million, or roughly around $11.5 million in salary cap that's still available. Now, with Nikolaj Ehlers coming into the fold, if he's on a top line, let's say with Sebastian Aho and Seth Jarvis. By the way, Nikolaj Ehlers, Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis, that's a heck of a top line. On that quote-unquote second line, you put, let's say, Taylor Hall and Andrei Svechnikov as the wingers. Well, we've talked about consistently about this team needing a number 2 center. With Taylor Hall, let's say Andrei Svechnikov as your quote-unquote second pair of wingers, then you have Jordan Staal, Jordan Martinook with Logan Stankoven. And then where does that leave a guy like Jackson Blake? Because you still have Mark Jankowski, you have Eric Robinson that you signed, and you have William Carrier. Carrier has 5 years left on his contract. Well, where does that leave Jackson Blake? If Jackson Blake gets dropped down to your quote-unquote fourth line, well, then that's got to bump out either Eric Robinson or William Carrier. Now, obviously, you got to factor in you might have injuries and so forth, but not only is it going to bump out one of those guys, but also you have a young rookie by the name of Bradley Nadeau that's still in your farm system, who at 19 years old this past year in the American Hockey League put up 30-plus goals. Still developing into a complete game, but he has an NHL shot right away. Well, now because you've signed Nikolaj Ehlers, the way I view it is, if you wanted to trade a good young player for someone that could be a number 2 center, well, Jackson Blake now becomes easier to move. Because now you're essentially moving a guy that on your team is a fourth liner. That's a lot easier to move than someone who would have to potentially be a second or third line player. Now that he would be a fourth line player in my eyes, he's a lot easier to move. So if you wanted to go get another top center that can be right there with Sebastian Aho, even if people want to say, well, Aho is really a 2C, fine, go get a number 1. If Sebastian Aho is a number 2 center, awesome. Great. I would love that. Because that means you got one hell of a guy to be your number 1. That's fine, too. Again, the name that's floated around a bunch, I've said it before, Tage Thompson will be a heck of a get. But if you're going to go after Buffalo and get Tage Thompson from Buffalo, the center who's 6'5", 6'6", skates really well, he's right-handed, strong, and can score. Yeah, those guys don't grow on trees. That's going to cost an arm and a leg and maybe a second leg in order to get them. So, yeah, you would have to include players that could play right now and young players that can develop and grow into being everyday NHL players if they're not already. So, to me, in my eyes, yes, there's still a problem at center. Trust me, I see the YouTube live chat and everything like that. There's still a problem at center on this team. Yes, Barry Kokoniemi has not produced at the level that this team has desired. He just hasn't. But he's young, 24 years old. He's making less than $5 million a year. He doesn't have a no-trade clause on his contract. He doesn't until next season. Next season, he has a 10-team no-trade list next year. So it's a player that you can move to anywhere right now, which is a key part. But if you wanted to put together a package of players and picks to go get a top guy like a Tage Thompson, it's going to cost you a lot. And I'm going to say it's not going to be cheap. I mean, for people that are floating out there, give him Kokoniemi, Jackson Blake, and a first for Tage Thompson. I'm sorry, if you're Buffalo, would you give up Tage Thompson for Kokeniemi, Blake in a first, I would not do that. If I'm Kevin Adams, the general manager in Buffalo, I ain't making that deal.
I'm hanging up the phone before you finish talking.
That's funny. Really, what do you want to talk about? Eric Stahl's doing great up here. He's doing a good job. I ain't making that move. If you want to take Tage Thompson from me, my best player in the face of my franchise, by the way, for Tage Thompson, a player that has 5 years left on his contract, a player that's 27 years old, so you're getting him for his prime years, and he's making just over $7 million a year. It's going to take more than Kokeniemi, Blake, and a first-round pick or 2 first-round picks. It's going to take way more than that. Now, it probably would include a Kokeniemi, Blake, Nadeau. Would it be Andrei Svechnikov? It might cost you that in order to move up to try and get him. It might cost you that, because if I'm going to give up an elite player, I have to be getting back someone that I could consider an elite player. And a lot of people are still going to look at Andrei Svechnikov and go, he's 25 years old, former second overall pick. He just had that 8-goal run there in the playoffs. That's a player that I will want in return. So to get someone like Tage Thompson, it's going to cost a boatload. For a guy like Dylan Larkin from the Detroit Red Wings, Detroit feels like, man, we're just right there on the edge of making the playoffs. We're close. We're right there on the edge of making the playoffs. You think they're going to give up Dylan Larkin for Kokeniemi, Bradley Nadeau, and 2 firsts? I'm not doing that if I'm Steve Yzerman in Detroit. I'm not. Not even close. If you want to get an elite player that's a top 2 center, you're going to have to potentially give up one of your own elite players in order to make that move. And again, that might be Andre, because Andre is probably you're not giving up Seth Jarvis. I'm not giving up Seth Jarvis if I'm Eric Tulsky, unless Connor McDavid's coming back. If Connor McDavid or Leon Draisaitl's coming back, Jarvie, I love you, buddy. But there are very few players that I'd be willing to give up Jarvis for.
Yeah, especially at his contract, too. It's such a good value.
All things you have to take into consideration, too. But what player am I willing to part ways with? Now, if I trade Sebastian Aho, it's to then I still have a second center problem. All things you have to take into consideration when you're looking at these things. But yeah, I'm not giving up a guy like Seth Jarvis. Not happening. Not happening at all. You have to factor in what guys' contracts are and what people want. But what's your biggest trade chip in terms of elite player? Your 2 biggest trade chips are Seth Jarvis and Andrei Svechnikov and Alexander Nikishin. I ain't giving up Jarvis. I ain't giving up Nikishin. That's really it. Now, also, there's a caveat when it comes to Andrei Svechnikov. Andrei Svechnikov does have a modified no-trade clause as well. He has what they call a 10-team approved trade list. So he can give a list to the Carolina Hurricanes, or needs to give a list to the Carolina Hurricanes at the beginning of the year, which, basically a few days ago, beginning of the league year. Here are 10 teams that I approve trades to that you don't have to ask me about. So that limits what you can do. Now, you can always approach a player and say, hey, look, there's a trade out there on the table. We're thinking about making the move, but they're not on your list. Would you accept being part of a trade to go to another team? And the player would say, nope, not going to waive my no trade for that. And that's the player's right. Those are things you have to consider as well. This isn't playing general manager mode on EA Sports NHL 25, NHL 26. This isn't be a GM mode where you can just make these kinds of moves. There are real things in contracts and clauses that you have to take into consideration. Now, I've stated it. I love the idea, again, of a guy like Tage Thompson. Tage Thompson has a 5-team no-trade list. So he submits a list of 5 teams to the Buffalo Sabres saying, you can't trade me to these 5 teams. I don't know if Carolina's on that list. I doubt it would be if it's 5 teams. I'm probably not going to put Carolina on that list. But if you want to get those high-end guys, it's going to cost you a lot. It's going to cost you a heck of a lot. But with the signing of Nikolai Ehlers on this team, again, if you missed the news, Nikolai Ehlers, 6-year contract, $8.5 million a year. So $51 million total. which, by the way, I like the term because he's 29 years old. I'm going to get him for still part of his prime years and at $8.5 million a year. It doesn't hold you back from still making any of the moves that you want to do. You still got cap space in order to make these moves, and you got the salary cap bump that's going to take place next year as well. Like, you can still have money to make moves this season. You still have plenty of room to sign Alexander Nikishin to a long-term contract if you want to, or even a bridge deal. You have plenty of opportunity to do that next season as well. It doesn't hold you back from doing anything, and you have so many players that are under contract for not only just this year, but obviously next year, but even years beyond that. This deal doesn't hold you back from doing anything. You still have a lot of picks that you can use as part of a trade. You do have the young prospects. I just wonder, looking at the future of this team, is there room for Bradley Nadeau? Is there room for Jackson Blake now? Because once you sign a winger, there's the trickle-down effect. Young players that other teams might want to have that they think can develop, Canes have that. And it might cost you a couple of your better ones with Bradley Nadeau and Jackson Blake. And you might have to throw in Jesperi Kotkaniemi and some first and another high-end player. If you want to get high-end, you got to spend high-end. Plain and simple for this team. Plain and simple for this team. This team has been building prospects, like building its prospect pool and its draft pick pool. You have it to spend. You have it at your disposal and cap space. Even after the Keandre Miller trade a couple days ago that you used a first, a second, and a young prospect, you still have picks, prospects, and draft capital. And you just signed one of the best players in free agency. And you still have all these things at your disposal. In my eyes, this team isn't done. There's no way this team can be done. There's still holes out there, but this team right now is better than what it was June 30th. Plain and simple. We'll dive more into that here in 2 minutes about what's next for this Canes team coming up.
Westwood One Sports presents this special tennis update. World number one Jannik Sinner hasn't lost a service game yet in 2 matches. He's cruising right now against Alex Vukic, up 2-0 in round 2. Meanwhile, American Ben Shelton is up a set on Rinky Hijikata. 4th seed Jack Draper's out, a 4-set loss to Marin Cilic. Same for Tommy Paul. The American tried to play through a foot injury, but lost to Sebastian Offner in 4 sets. Novak Djokovic on to round 3 for a record 19th time. He beat Daniel Evans in straight sets. Defending ladies champ Barbara Krejcikova was pushed to a 3rd set by American Caroline Dolehide, but Krejcikova prevailed and will face American Emma Navarro next. The 4th seed Iga Swiatek rallied to beat American Katie McNally. She'll also get another American next, Danielle Collins, in round 3. With this tennis update, I'm Brad Heller, Westwood One Sports.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
If you haven't heard the news already, you're just tuning in for the first time. Carolina Hurricanes have signed forward Nikolaj Ehlers to a 6-year contract at $8.5 million a year. Again, 6-year contract, $8.5 million average annual value for the Carolina Hurricanes. Coming over from the Winnipeg Jets, where he spent his entire career up until now. Now he is a Carolina Hurricane. And here's something that keep in mind when it comes to the Nikolaj Ehlers signing. And I said this yesterday, and I'm going to repeat it today, and I think it's worth mentioning. The last couple of years, we've seen the Carolina Hurricanes go after Jake Gensel. We've seen them go after Mikko Rantanen in trades. What we saw with now granted, Keandre Miller was a trade, but part of that trade taking place was him willing to sign a contract with the Carolina Hurricanes. The fact that Nikolaj Ehlers waited a couple of days to make his decision, got to July 3rd, even though free agency started July 1st, the fact that it got to the third day of free agency, he sat, thought about it. I'm not going to say I'm reading his mind, but the fact that he did sign with Carolina shows that he actually does want to be here, which is obviously something that was a little bit of an issue. Little bit. I understate that. But it was a problem when it came to Mikko Rantanen. Remember, Mikko Rantanen didn't want to be here. He got traded here because, Colorado kind of called his bluff about, yeah, sure, we'll accept a trade to Carolina. Okay. They traded him off. And obviously he didn't want to be here, and the results are the results. But Carolina took a crappy situation and made the best of it, obviously. Nikolaj Ehlers wants to be here. We can't overlook that. And that a top-end player, after Brad Marchand, after Aaron Ekblad, after somebody like Mitch Marner, the side and trade, all these top guys that re-signed with their teams or part of moves even before free agency, that the top free agent forward out there on the market chose to be here with this team. Even after all the rumors of apparently star players don't want to play with Rob Brind'Amour. Star players don't want to play in Carolina. Bull. That's crap. You got a former number 1 overall pick and former league MVP in Taylor Hall that's here, who chose to sign and stay here. Sebastian Aho signed a long-term deal here. Seth Jarvis signed a long-term deal here. Stankoven decided to stay in long-term deal here. Now you got Nikolaj Ehlers, free agent, that said, yeah, I'll go long-term over there with you guys. Dmitry Orlov a couple years ago was like the top free agent defenseman, or one of the top free agent defensemen a couple years ago, signed here with the Canes. There are a lot of teams out there looking for the services of Sean Walker, Shane Gostisbehere. Shane Gostisbehere came back. We can't overlook the fact that a player of the caliber of Nikolaj Ehlers decided to come here and play here on this team, fully understanding what it's going to take to skate and play in this system, how physically demanding it is on these guys throughout the course of the season, and everything that goes into being part of a Carolina Hurricane and the culture. Everyone around the league knows it. It's been talked about a ton. It's been talked about what Rob Brind'Amour brings, what Rob Brind'Amour expects of his team. The fact that one of the top guys chose to be here, in my eyes, is massive. He could have stayed in Winnipeg. Winnipeg's a really, really good team. Winnipeg won the President's Trophy last year. Winnipeg's no slouch. But he wants to be here, and we can't overlook that for sure. Now, again, when it comes to what this team now is capable of doing in terms of other moves they can make. By the way, it's just the third day of the new league year. The third day of the new league year. Training camp doesn't start till mid-late September. You got 2.5 months before we actually even get to training camp, the start of the season. I mean, gosh, the actual trade deadline during the season is however many months away. Who knows what this team is going to look like? But I'm going to say this. Let Eric Tulsky cook, because that's what he's been doing. He took a couple of players, flipped them to Colorado, got Mikko Rantanen, and got Taylor Hall. Hey, Rantanen didn't work out? Okay, fine. I'll get a couple of first-round picks from you, and I'm going to get a Logan Stankoven. Oh, a Logan Stankoven that's now part of my core going forward that fits well into our system. Oh, and one of those first-round draft picks that you got me, I traded to go get Keandre Miller from the New York Rangers, a player that we feel can play great in our system that's 25 years old. Oh, and he committed long-term to us. So really, you took that and made it into multiple players. Oh, and we also just got the top free agent forward on the market in Nikolaj Ehlers. Oh, he's coming here as well. And guess what I still have at my disposal if I'm Eric Tulsky? I still have cap space. I still have draft picks. I still have a deep prospect pool that, and he said it to us yesterday, any move they want to make, they can afford to do it. Any move they want to make, they can still afford to do it. Let's not forget, this team made it to the Eastern Conference Final last year and is better now than what it was in the Eastern Conference Final. It's better now than what it was in the Eastern Conference Final. We saw Dmitry Orlov and Brent Burns struggle in the playoffs last year, which, by the way, shout out to Brent Burns and Dmitry Orlov. Brent Burns signing a 1-year deal with the Colorado Avalanche. Dmitry Orlov signing a 2-year deal with the San Jose Sharks. Shout out to those guys still continuing to play, especially Brent Burns at age 40.
Oh, yeah.
Props to that guy.
And he had a good playoffs, too.
Pretty good. But we saw the speed was lost, and there was no way he was going to continue to be a top 4 defenseman on this Canes team. The Canes just couldn't afford to have that anymore. But they got a guy that can be a top 4 defenseman for them that also doesn't have to be the number 1 defenseman. Because Keandre Miller, I felt like in New York, was asked to probably do too much. Hey, go shut down the other team's top guy. You don't have to worry about that. Jacob Slavin will shut down the other team's top guy. You don't have to worry about playing on the power play. Shane Gostisbehere will handle that. Or Alexander Nikishin will handle that. You don't have to worry about some of those things. And your speed and skating ability will fit well into your system. So that's what the Canes have done. They added a top 4 defenseman. Also, Alexander Nikishin coming up was the best defenseman not playing in the National Hockey League last year. So you got younger, you got faster, you got bigger as well on defense. And then I get a top 6 forward that can score for me right away. A top 6 forward that can score for me right away. If not a top line forward. Yeah, this team's better. Plain and simple. And they can still make moves that they want to go do.
Still $10 million in cap space, and as someone pointed out in our YouTube live chat, you can also go 10% over the cap during the summer if you want to do some maneuvering in the offseason. So, they're in a really good spot, and whether they want to count on Kotkaniemi to make the step as the second-line center, or if they want to go acquire one, you have the room to do both. Maybe they want to get into the season and see how things are going before making another move, or maybe they have a lot more planned out, and Eric Tulsky's wall is looking like the beautiful mind with all the different free agents and center targets strung together with the red string. Who knows? But there's no doubt they got faster and they've gotten more skilled, and you cannot deny that based on these moves so far.
You can't. Now, there's still an element of grittiness I think this team still needs to have. They need an element of grittiness to it. Maybe Alexander Nikishin will bring some of that with them. Just again, grainy footage that you kind of watch from the KHL. Maybe he brings a little bit of that. I mean, I don't think you're going to get, obviously you're not going to get that with Nikolaj Ehlers, but overall, this team got better. And the way I view it as well is that, yes, you use cap space to sign Ehlers. You still have a ton of it. But in my eyes, I think you gained an asset to trade because, as I mentioned a moment ago, I think this makes a player like a Jackson Blake a little bit more expendable. in terms of a trade. I mean, unless you're comfortable with him just being on your quote-unquote fourth line with Eric Robinson and Mark Jankowski and William Carrier's that extra guy, there's no problem with having depth either. There's no problem with keeping him. There's no problem with that at all. Or if you feel comfortable that if there is an injury that you bring up Bradley Nadeau, and that's the guy that you bring up, who's on an entry-level contract as well. Hey, you know what? If there's an injury with our top three lines, we're comfortable bringing up Bradley Nadeau if that's the case. Maybe that's the plan. But there are still a lot of options for Eric Tulsky. Let Eric Tulsky cook. Like, this guy continues to find value. Again, 6 years, $8.5 million for Nikolaj Ehlers is not an overpay, in my eyes.
No, it's more than fair value, if not maybe even a little bit under with how the cap is going up.
Exactly. The way the salary cap is spiking. So the salary cap this season is $95.5 million. Next year is projected to be $104, and the year after that, $113. The cap's rising. And we're going to take a quick break here, but we're actually going to look at the core of this team that has been built together, because every player, with the exception of like a couple, for the Canes are either under contract for the next 2 seasons or at least have contractual rights for the next couple seasons at minimum for this Canes team. We'll talk about the core that this team is putting together next. Next out on credit cards, struggling with high interest debt? You can pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey, it's Dennis Cox. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. That's a huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Loan Pronto is A+ rated by the BBB and have nearly 2,500 5-star Google reviews. Their service is off the charts. Call now to start the conversation. 919-381-1760, loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
That's the sound of a Mountain Dew. And that's you enjoying its refreshing citrus kick. That's a cool breeze suddenly whistling through your hair.
Whoa!
That's you realizing you're now on a mountain.
This is epic!
That's you stating the obvious.
Mountain Dew!
Do the do.
Hurry into Family Fare and get 2 20-ounce bottles of ice-cold Mountain Dew for just $4.29. Family Fare, first in thirst.
Dear McDonald's, your breakfast menu? Fire. 10s across the board. I could be happy with anything, even though I order the same thing every time. Thanks for not judging me. I'll try something new next time. Maybe.
Get your faves for less. Buy a sausage McMuffin with egg for $2.50 at any size Sprite for $1.49. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
When it comes to restoring cars, Diego's got skills. And with Total Wireless in his corner, the whole world sees them. With the dual camera system on his new iPhone 13, he can take amazing car photos and post them on the fly with super fast 5G, and even turn this hobby into a full-time gig. His claim to fame? Claiming iPhone 13 with 5G on us. Get iPhone 13 with 5G on us when you switch to the Total 5G or 5G Plus Unlimited 3-month plan. Total Wireless, in your corner. For limited time while supplies last. Valid in store. Device taxes and fees may apply. Requires port in and ID verification. Restrictions apply.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Cause I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
I know a lot of Carolina Hurricanes fans are celebrating right now. It's the Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. If you haven't heard the news, Nikolaj Ehlers, 6 years, $8.5 million a year, joining the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm excited, Max. Max Gorin producing the show today. Again, Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly. If you look at this Carolina Hurricanes team now with the offseason moves that they've made, and they've made, really, yes, you can say two additions. The first move was Logan Stankoven, an 8-year contract extension on top of the final year of his entry-level contract. So you have Logan Stankoven for 9 more seasons. You got Keandre Miller as part of a trade with the New York Rangers. Yeah, it did cost you a couple of high draft picks, a first and a second, and one of your top prospects, top young defensive prospects in Scott Morrow. Okay, it cost you that, but there wasn't going to be a spot for Scott Morrow on this team anytime soon. And then you go on and get Nikolaj Ehlers. If you look at players that are under contract for the Carolina Hurricanes for the next 3 years or longer, for this team, Sebastian Aho, Nikolaj Ehlers, Andrei Svechnikov, Seth Jarvis, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Taylor Hall, William Carrier, Eric Robinson, Keandre Miller, Jacob Slavin, Sean Walker, Shane Goss. I'm sorry, not Shane Gostisbehere. But that's 12 guys that you have under contract. I'm sorry, Logan Stankoven as well. So if you look at players that are under contract, and that's not even factoring in Alexander Nikishin, who you have contractual rights, not only obviously this season, but for next year and possibly the year after that as well. So you have contractual rights. Even Jackson Blake, restricted free agent, you have contractual rights over the next few years. But the only guys that are on the roster right now that aren't under contract or under control next year are goalie Frederik Andersen, defenseman Mike Riley, whom they signed this offseason as just to be the number 7 defenseman on this team in case of, hey, Shane Gostisbehere takes a shot off the inside of his leg. The leg's a little stiff. It's the second day of a back-to-back. Hey, Mike, step in there and play for a game. Shane, let it rest for a day, and you're good to go. That's what Mike Riley is there to do. And then Mark Jankowski. That's it. That's it. I'll mention the names again. Aho, Ehlers, Svechnikov, Jarvis, Kotkaniemi, Hall, Carrier, Robinson, Stankoven. That's 9 forwards. And then you have Miller, Slavin, Walker, all under contract for the next 3 years at least. Many of those guys longer than that. So this Canes team has the cohesion, the continuity, but also a good core that this team has built. And now they're adding pieces to that core. They went and got Keandre Miller. Hey, this team that really is only losing from last season's team, Dmitry Orlov, Brent Burns, Jack Roslovic. Roslovic was a healthy extra in the playoffs. We saw Orlov struggle a bit in the playoffs. And Brent Burns, age 40. So I got younger. I've added faster players to this team. And I got a little bit more skilled. Yes, this team's better. I said this yesterday after we talked to Eric Tulsky. Is that with the continuity and the cohesion of this locker room, when Nikolaj Ehlers steps in and Keandre Miller step into the locker room on this team, they're going to look around the room and see a group of guys that was like, hey, we got to beat the Florida Panthers. In order for us to get to the Stanley Cup final, we got to go beat the Florida Panthers. What we're doing right here, we got to elevate our play. It's a lot easier to get 2 guys to buy in than try and bring in 7, 8 new guys and try and reform your culture, or even 8, 9 guys and try and reform your culture. This team doesn't have to do that. Pretty much everyone in that locker room is going to be able to look at each other and go, hey guys, remember that feeling last year in the Eastern Conference Finals? Remember that? Yeah, I don't want to feel that anymore. We got to elevate our play. No. We're sticking around a little bit longer here for our workout. Whatever it is. Whatever we're doing off the ice. All those things. And also just the preparation for this offseason. I have no doubt. Obviously, Keandre Miller, much more familiar playing in the Eastern Conference, and obviously having played against the Carolina Hurricanes in the playoffs, knows what it's like to be on the wrong side of losing to the Florida Panthers in the playoffs. Just a couple of years ago with the New York Rangers, Keandre Miller lost to the Florida Panthers in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference Final. He's felt that before. But now he gets to feel it with this team. But Keandre Miller willing to sign a contract extension as part of a sign-and trade with this team. And Nikolaj Ehlers truly sitting and think about where he wanted to play, fully knows what's at stake with this team and what they expect and what their goals are as a squad. Those guys come into this situation knowing it. And the fact that they have so many guys under contract, young players too, by the way. Aho's 27. Ehlers is 29. Svetch is 25. Jarvis is just 23. Stankoven's 22. Keandre Miller's 25. This is a young core overall that's entering its prime years that, again, can still be better. There are guys that can still improve their play. I mean, gosh, again, mentioned Seth Jarvis is 23 years old. The guy should only get better. Logan Stankoven, 22 years old, should only get better. There's even another level we all believe that Sebastian Aho can take. But having that continuity, I think, for this team, especially going into this upcoming year, they know who the big bad bully is. Which, by the way, the big bad bully in the Florida Panthers, no one's beaten them the last 2 seasons. Nobody has. I mean, Vegas took them down a couple of years ago, but they also had a bunch of guys that were hurt. Like Matthew Tkachuk was playing through it. Now they've added pieces to their team, obviously. But they took care of Toronto. They took care of Tampa. They took care of the Oilers twice. Carolina, people are like, well, you only won 1 game against those guys. But yeah, because they're 2-time reigning champs. It's a damn good team. Now, Carolina, in my eyes, is closer to Florida now than what they were at the end of last season because this team, in my eyes, is better. Is it good enough? On paper, maybe not. On paper, maybe not. If this team still wants to get a top 2 center, they still have the ability to do that. If this team wants to get a goalie, which, by the way, the goalie market, bare bones. Like, bare bones. There really wasn't anyone out there that you can go for. I know John Gibson got traded to the Detroit Red Wings and was like 2 picks, and Peter Mrazek, former Kane, was part of that deal. But Carolina, I guess, just they weren't in on that deal. They probably didn't want to give up Pyotr Kochetkov as part of that deal. They probably didn't. But if they want to go get a goaltender, they have the ability to do that during this season. Whether it's this offseason, early in the year, or at the trade deadline, they have the ability to go do that. Or even it's next offseason as well.
There are a couple good free agent goaltenders next season. Notably for me, Philip Gustafsson is a UFA. That would be a really nice target. But there's a couple good RFAs as well, like Spencer Knight, restricted free agent for Chicago next season. Connor Ingram over in Utah.
Yeah, it's
a couple
next
options
year.
out there.
That's next year. I want to win a cup now.
Oh, don't we
I
all?
want to win a cup now. And I think this team, looking at what they have going in, again, these guys all in the locker room can look at each other and go, remember that feeling? Like, all can look at each other and go, remember that feeling? And then Nikolaj Ehlers and Keandre Miller buying into the team that is sitting there going to say in the locker room, remember that feeling? Holding each other accountable. I think that's a good thing for this Canes team. We'll see. Now, do they have the playoff players? That's another question. Can this team get it done in the playoffs when it gets to the Eastern Conference Final? We know they can get deep into the playoffs, which is a difficult thing to do in and of itself. It's not easy. The Carolina Hurricanes are the only franchise that has won a postseason series in each of the last 7 years. The only franchise to do so. So, yeah, they're close. They are close. Can they do it in the playoffs? That's to be determined. But I will say again, this team is better. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. There are still questions about this team, but we're going to recap it for you. The big news of the day, the Carolina Hurricanes have signed Nikolaj Ehlers to a 6-year contract. We'll talk about it more next here on The Drive.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Hey, that's the spirit. Right now, we're celebrating free with a free STP oil filter when you buy 5 quarts of oil and free Duralast brake pads when you buy 2 rotors. Like always, free battery testing, charging, and recycling at every store. Celebrate free at AutoZone, now through July 28th.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Black isn't just a color. It's the presence of infinite possibilities. It's the moment before everything changes. An invitation to something unforgettable.
I won.
Win up to $4 million with Carolina Black Premier from the North Carolina Education Lottery. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 4.18. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Big truck accidents can cause life-changing injuries, and life-changing injuries deserve life-changing money. I know big truck wrecks, and I know how to fight those big insurance companies. If you've been hurt by a big truck, contact us at ritchielaw.com. I'm on top of it.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
I'm WRAL meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner. Partly cloudy, hot and sticky this afternoon with a high of 92, feeling more like 99 with the heat index. A very small chance of a thunderstorm this afternoon and evening. Lots of fireworks shows tonight. For the most part, those should be just fine. 70 overnight tonight, and it will be a hot 4th of July. Great day to head to the pool, to the lake, somewhere cool. A high of 93 with a heat index in the upper 90s. And as I mentioned, a very small chance of a storm.
Weather update brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 4 o'clock check of your money markets closing early today with Independence Day tomorrow. Closed at up 344 points at 44,828.
Going to Funky Town? All right. Is that what Nikolaj Ehlers said when he signed with the Carolina Hurricanes? Breaking news, if you didn't hear it, folks, going to the breaking news sounder for once again here, Max. For all the beautiful people out there that may have missed this earlier, in case you're just jumping in the car, you're leaving work, you're heading out of town early, or by the way, be safe this holiday weekend. Enjoy yourselves. The big news in the NHL. Carolina Hurricanes have signed Nikolaj Ehlers forward. 6-year contract, $8.5 million a year. 6 years, $8.5 million a year.
Yes, sir.
Now, for those who don't know who Nikolaj Ehlers is, he has been a 20-plus goal scorer in 8 of 10 years in the NHL. The only 2 years he didn't score 20-plus goals were his rookie season back in 2015, 2016. And then back in 2022, 2023, he only played in 45 games due to injury. That's it. Otherwise, he's been, last year, 24 goals, 39 assists, 63 points. The year before that, in 23-24, when he played all 82 games, he had 25 goals, 36 assists, also was a plus 27. That one concern when it comes to Nikolai Ehlers is that there's been a little bit of an injury bug. Now, people that may look up his stats, by the way, if you go look up his stats and say, well, in the 2019-2020 season, he played in 71 games. Remember that season got cut short due to COVID. I think he did play in every single game that season. Now, the following year in 2020-2021, again, COVID-shortened season, he played in 47 games that year. I think out of a 56-game schedule. Now, again, sometimes it was, hey, you got to sit because you had a contact with somebody that may have had COVID. Remember that whole thing 4 years ago? Remember that? I think we all have kind of erased that from our memories.
Gosh, it was so fun.
But there have been questions about his durability. Again, he's not the biggest guy in the world. He's built similar to Aho, 6 foot, 170, 175 pounds in that range, which is what Sebastian Aho was built as. He's a highly skilled player. Again, not the biggest guy in the world, but he's a highly skilled player. And one thing or a couple things that really make him great for the Carolina Hurricanes in terms of what they do regarding puck possession, how they hold on to pucks. When Nikolai Ehlers is on the ice, generally, like in more than 50% of the time, generally about 58% of the time, when he's on the ice, his team is in possession of the puck, which is actually pretty high for a forward. So those possession metrics, the shots on goal metrics, all those kinds of things, some of the advanced analytics stuff that the Canes are known for, Nikolai Ehlers fits that stuff to a T. This guy is a great fit for what this Canes team does. And we have seen with the Carolina Hurricanes that players that they find that fit their system well really do thrive, whether it's on the blue line or among forwards as well. We saw Jake Guentzel, for example. I always bring this up. Some people like to say, oh, star players don't work in Carolina, especially when they look back at the Mikko Rantanen stuff. Well, I'll say, well, in 17 regular season games for Jake Guentzel when he was here, he had 8 goals and 17 assists, 25 points in 17 regular season games. And then playoffs had 4 goals and 5 assists in 11 games. Jake Guentzel's not a big guy. Jake Guentzel's actually probably slightly smaller than Nikolai Ehlers. Jake Guentzel's not a big dude, and he worked perfectly in this system. So yeah, highly skilled star, quote-unquote star players can play with the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, I also look at it from a mindset of, okay, how does this impact everyone else that's on the team? Well, guess what? You got your number one left winger. You have a highly skilled player that can hold on to the puck and is not afraid to shoot at volume. Just a couple of seasons ago, he was putting on average just under 4 shots on goal a game. Just a couple of seasons ago. He's consistently been around 3+ shots on goal a game in his career. So if I take a player like Ehlers and put him alongside of Sebastian Aho, well, then guess what? I expect Aho's production to go up. I think Aho's production, Sebastian Aho that is, his production was down a little bit this past season. It's because if he was playing with Andrei Svechnikov, well, Svechnikov had a down year himself. Svechnikov just wasn't shooting the puck. Just wasn't shooting the puck, wasn't putting the puck on net, just wasn't scoring. Well, if I'm getting you the puck and you're not doing anything with it, well, then guess what? That impacts my numbers. That impacts my numbers too. So playing with a more highly skilled player in Nikolai Ehlers should boost Sebastian Aho's numbers. And if you're playing on a line with Seth Jarvis as well, well, that should then in turn boost Jarvis's numbers too. I mean, Jarvis has been a 30-plus goal, 30-plus assist guy each of the last 2 seasons. I mean, there's no reason why, in my eyes, that we don't see 70-point+ plus Seth Jarvis going forward.
He could easily be a 40-goal scorer. I mean,
yeah.
there's no reason to believe he can't even get better than what he is now.
Oh, 100%. He's still only 23 years old. I mean, the kid's a pup. As much as he's been in Carolina already, he's still a kid. So, yeah, you should expect the production numbers to go up. Now, we also know that if it's Ehlers, Aho, and Jarvis on the top line, well, guess what? They're going to draw the other team's top defensive forwards and top defensive pair. They're just going to draw that attention, which should, in turn, allow Andrei Svechnikov to get a better matchup when he's out there on the ice. It should hopefully, in turn, whomever he's playing with, if it's Taylor Hall or if it's Logan Stankoven as the other winger, should get more opportunity. Jesperi Kotkaniemi should get more opportunity. If Jesperi Kotkaniemi is going to be consistently playing with a better forward, now granted, we've seen Kotkaniemi plenty of times playing alongside, before the trade, Martin Necas and Andrei Svechnikov. So it's not like he hasn't played with these guys before. But that second line should get more looks. Now, if the Carolina Hurricanes still can make a move to get a number 2 center, then that second quote-unquote second line should get a ton of great looks. Should. We all know what Jordan Stahl and Jordan Martinook and probably Logan Stankoven, we all know what that line can do. They're going to hold onto the puck a ton. They're going to forecheck the crap out of you, and they're going to shut down the other team's top line. But if I also get Jackson Blake down on the quote-unquote 4th line, well, that 4th line, the way Mark Jankowski skates and plays, the way Eric Robinson skates and plays, the way those guys hold onto the puck and how they, with their size and physicality, Jackson Blake should get plenty of scoring opportunities going against other teams' 4th lines. Most other teams' 4th lines in the NHL, just a bunch of, hate to use the term, but some teams' 4th lines are just a bunch of plugs. That's really all they are. Whereas Carolina, with their 4th line, should get plenty of scoring chances. With Jackson Blake possibly consistently on that 4th line, should consistently get looks. There's the trickle-down effect of signing a top guy like Nikolaj Ehlers. There is. So let's look at this Canes team again right now for what it is. Now, there's still the potential for moves to be made. We'll talk about that here in the next few minutes. But there are potential moves for this team to make, but let's look at what this team is right now. This team got a legit top-line player. A legit top-line player. Let's call Nikolai Ehlers what he is. He's a legit top-line player. And that's what you got. And it didn't cost you an asset in terms of a draft pick or a current player on your roster or prospects. It was literally just a contract that had to be signed. Your team got better. Your team overall has gotten younger. Dmitry Orlov is like 33 years old, 34 years old. Brent Burns hit the age of 40. Brent Burns is older than me. But now you bring in a 25-year-old in Keandre Miller. You're bringing the 23-year-old in Alexander Nikishin. And you got a top-line player who's still, again, late 20s, 29 years old, but in his prime years, at 6 years, this team has gotten better. And it got more skilled. You got a legit top-line player. And a guy that fits perfectly into your system if you're the Carolina Hurricanes. You truly did. Now, can this team beat Florida in the playoffs? It's a major question. I still think this team needs to get among their top 6, some grittiness and some size up front with their top 6. I think Eric Robinson can skate well. He's a big body guy. Same thing with Mark Jankowski. Same thing with, Martinook, Stahl. Like, these guys they got plenty of size among those guys. But what separates Florida from other teams is that they've got some size on their top 6, guys that can score, and their top guys aren't afraid to be jerks either. And I think that's something that separates Florida from the other teams as well. Now, does Nikolai Ehlers bring that toughness and grittiness? No, he doesn't. But he does bring the added skill and scoring that this team desperately does need. This team coming into this offseason only had Jarvis, Svechnikov, and Aho coming back as 20-plus goal scorers. That's it. You just added another one in Nikolaj Ehlers. You 100% did. You just got a top-line forward. No doubt about it. You just got a top-line forward. And that's going to be a big thing for this team as we go on. As the offseason still continues, we're only 3 days into the offseason. Really. Because the league year just started on July 1st. We're only 3 days into the offseason. It's the Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan as the free agent frenzy continues, presented by John Heiser, Chrysler Dodge Jeep in Lillington. The free agent frenzy continues, and I don't think Eric Tulsky's done cooking. He might be cooking on the grill this weekend with 4th of July, but he ain't done cooking with what he can do with this roster. We'll talk about that more next.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
With free agency coming up, I don't know a lot about economics, but I know this. When there's a little supply, it's going to make the demand high. There's not many centers out there, and the Canes need one, so just be prepared for this. Either you're going to get a player you like, but the cost is going to be too much, or you're going to get a player you don't like, but you'll like the cost. You can't have it all.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in North Carolina. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. T&Cs apply. Available in app only.
Welcome to Take 5 Oil Change.
Hey, how long will this take?
Just 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Get out. That's super fast. Super fast like a F1 pit stop.
Sir.
Huh?
We're all done. I even topped off your fluid and checked your tires.
But I was so close to the finish line.
Get in and out fast with Take 5, the stay-in-your-car 10-minute oil change. And check out F1 the movie starring Brad Pitt only in theaters June 27th. Rated PG-13.
That'll be 30 even.
That's 90 points! Sorry, that was a lot. Now that I'm getting 3 times the points on food and fuel with the Navy Federal More Rewards American Express card, I get a little too hyped sometimes.
Cool. Would you like your receipt?
In the bag! Sorry. In the bag, please.
Learn more about the everyday, everywhere Navy Federal More Rewards American Express card at NavyFederal.org. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. All kinds of beers and thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low. It just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
With curbside pickup and delivery available, you'll always find what you love, only at Total Wine & More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Is this like a 70s funk day? Like, what do we got going on
It's
here,
like
Max?
a funky Friday for free agent frenzy, but on a Thursday.
Hey, if you're going to play funky, go with the Parliament Funkadelic next time, all right? Little flashlight? Give me that on the next bump. All right. You know, I guess we're feeling funky, Max, because the Carolina Hurricanes just got Nikolai Ehlers. The free agent frenzy continues, presented by John Heiser, Chrysler Dodge Jeep in Lillington. Big shout out to them. They've been sponsoring Canes, our free agent frenzy this entire week in the NHL. And on the third day, Eric Tulsky did it again. He got the biggest free agent that was available starting July 1. Now, a lot of the big-time free agents weren't available on the open market starting July 1st. But in case you missed it, Carolina Hurricanes got Nikolai Ehlers, 6-year contract, $8.5 million a year. Now, there's been a lot of conversation in our YouTube live chat, which, by the way, go on YouTube, 99.9 The Fan, search it on YouTube. You can follow along the conversations. You can watch this show live in case you miss it, or you're out of town. You can watch. The comment section is just popping right now regarding the Carolina Hurricanes.
Today. Subscribe. We're trying to get to 18,000 subscribers. We're getting close. If everyone in the chat subscribes, we'll almost be there.
We're getting there. And I've actually had a couple people ask questions about why, for example, Greg asked, Dennis, why didn't we make a legit run at a 2 center in Mikael Granlund? I feel like he's a good fit and a good two-way center that scored 33 goals last year. I have no doubt that the Carolina Hurricanes were interested in signing Mikael Granlund. I have no doubt about that. But he got a 3-year contract at $7 million a year. And for a player that's 33 years old, he had 33 goals last season, but a big chunk of that came after he got traded to the Dallas Stars from San Jose. So I don't know if it's just the fact that he was playing alongside, Mikko Rantanen and Roope Hintz would maybe inflated some of those numbers. But I think $7 million a year was just a little bit too rich for them. Again, for a player who is 33 or about to be 34 years old. Mikael Granlund's not a big guy. He's like 5'10", 185, 190. So he's not a big player.
I also have to disagree with the center that he's a good two-way center. He might attempt to be a two-way center. He's a decent offensive player. Defensively, leaves a little to be desired.
Yes, there's a little bit of that as well. Now, I thought that he could bring a little positional versatility, but I understand the reason for it. I actually thought that he probably could be a good fit for the team, possibly, but I understand what you're saying there. But I thought he could work. But for $7 million a year, that's too big of an asking price, in my eyes. But what this Carolina Hurricanes team now needs to focus its attention on in terms of competing for a cup really for the next couple of years. To me, I think the win now is really for the next 2 years. Because if you look at players that are under contract for only 2 more seasons, Shane Gostisbehere has 2 years left on his contract. Jalen Chatfield has 2 years left on his contract. Jordan Staal has 2 years left on his contract. Jordan Martinook has 2 years left on his contract. And Frederik Andersen has 1. Now, Pyotr Kochetkov has 2 years left on his deal. But I think that, Chatfield's a core guy. Jordan Staal is your captain and core guy. Jordan Martinook is a core guy. Jordan Martinook is the heart and soul, in my eyes, of what the Carolina Hurricanes do. He's the heart and soul, represents that in the way he plays every single shift. And by the way, Jordan Martinook this past year actually had a career season. He had a career high in points with 36. He tied a career high in goals with 15. Didn't play 3 games this season. It was basically, hey, we've got the playoffs locked up. You're kind of fighting through something a little bit. Just sit down and rest and get ready for the playoffs. But he's been healthy for 3 straight seasons. And that's a big thing. Generally, that doesn't happen when you get a little bit older. But Jordan Martinook had one of his best seasons last year. And I think playing on a consistent line, obviously he and Jordan Staal consistently are together and are amazing, but I think Logan Stankoven consistently playing on that line will be that scoring touch of what those guys can provide. Those guys are they can shut down another team's top line. They really can. So to me, the window with this core group, now there's still a whole bunch of other guys that are under contract beyond these next 2 years, and players that you have their rights controlled for more than 2 years beyond that. But again, the next 2 years, it's Staal, Martinook, Chatfield, Gostisbehere. Those 4 guys all have 2 years left on their contract. I would love to see Jalen Chatfield continue to stay beyond these next 2 years. I really would love to see that. But to me, what's the next focus for this team? I think there's 2 routes that you can go. 1, goalie, which I think is going to be a lot more difficult. Going out and getting a goaltender is going to be a lot more difficult. What's the thing that you probably want to focus your most attention on if you want to try and win right now? It's finding that number 2 center. It's finding that number 2 center for this team. Jesperi Kotkaniemi, I think in the way that he plays, could be eventually a good number 3, but he'd be obviously a really good number 4 center. But I think in my eyes, he eventually could be a good number 3. I think long-term, that's probably his ceiling. But he's asked to be a number 2 center. He's asked to be a second scoring center on a team that's trying to compete for a championship. And I think you just simply need more.
Yeah, the hope when they signed that extension was that he'd grow into that role. It hasn't quite been there. You saw the glimpse, though, in the 22-23 season, especially the second half. He had his career high in points at 43. He was providing really good two-way play that year, and it just hasn't been sustained since then. But we know he has that level that he can get there. Maybe it's a confidence thing. Maybe he needs the right line mates. I think the potential is still there. It's just a matter of getting it to show on the ice.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. It's where's the consistency with it? Now, we talk about playing with good players. Well, plenty of times in the last couple of seasons, he's played it alongside Andrei Svechnikov and Martin Necas. We've seen that on a consistent level. We just haven't seen it, the production-wise, come from Jesperi Kotkaniemi himself. If they can get a player that can obviously be a top 2 center, that could also bring some size and some grittiness to that top 6, that is obviously ideal. But those guys are hard to find. At least hard to find just easily. Because teams just don't give those guys up. They just don't. Teams just don't give up a top 2 center that has size, scoring touch, and physicality and all those things. Those guys just aren't freely out there. I mean, I can go find a 4th-line winger, 3rd-line winger without a problem. Like, those guys are a dime a dozen. But a guy, again, I'll point to Tage Thompson, because I know a lot of Canes fans say it. I'm a big Tage Thompson fan. But Tage Thompson, 6'5", 6'6", 230-plus pounds, skates really well. Oh, and has multiple 40-plus goal seasons. And he's a right-handed center who's 27 years old, making, $7.2 million a year, roughly, over the next 5 years? I mean, yeah. But guess what? Everyone else in the league wants that. Especially if I'm a team that's trying to contend. Of course I want that guy. I want that guy absolutely. What are you truly willing to give up? What's it going to cost to go give that guy up? I always say, if you're the other side, flip it. Let's say you had Tage Thompson on your team. What would it cost for you to give him up? Think about it from that perspective. If it's Tage Thompson, Buffalo, if I'm Kevin Adams, their general manager, what am I willing to take in order to give up my best player? I know Buffalo is in this perpetual, air quotes, rebuild. I saw you Sabre fans out there. I'm sorry, your team stinks. But hey, you have more playoff series victories than Toronto Maple Leafs this century. But that's a different conversation. But if I'm Kevin Adams, the face of my franchise, my best player, what's it going to cost? What am I willing to take to give him up? If I want to eventually get into the playoffs, well, I don't want to give up my best player to do it. I better get elite player back. If you're Carolina and Eric Tulsky, are you willing to give up Andrei Svechnikov if Svechnikov's partial no-trade clause allows you to make that deal? Do you make that move? It's going to cost you at least that. Do you have to give up a Shane Goss to spare and then maybe find a 6 defenseman to play on your third pair? Is it going to cost you that as well? If I'm Buffalo, I want players that can play now, not just this season, but in the future. People mentioned Dylan Larkin, the Detroit Red Wings. You think Detroit's just going to give up Dylan Larkin for nothing?
Their franchise player and captain,
their franchise player, captain, super young, and that extremely great player. I'm not giving that up for nothing, especially if I'm Detroit and I'm I've been working on this rebuild for a little while, and you feel like you're on the cusp and almost there. I'm not going to give that up. I doubt Tage Thompson is available. I highly doubt it. Again, the asking price might be way, way too much than what Carolina is willing to spend. Be way, way, way too much. It might be, all right, who are your top prospects? Bradley Nadeau, we'll take him. Jackson Blake, we'll take him. Felix Ungerstorm, yeah, we'll take him too. Who's it? Dominic Badinka, yeah, we'll take that guy as well.
Throw in 3 first-round picks too.
Yeah, we'll also take those first, a couple of those first rounders that you got, and Svech. Oh yeah, okay, we'll take Kotkaniemi as well. But okay, we'll give you Tage Thompson and another player to kind of throw in the mix. You willing to make that move if you're Carolina? It's a lot. That's what it's going to cost you a ton. These aren't just cheap moves that you make. These aren't. Like, for example, go to the NBA. Like, how many times have you seen like 4 first-round picks go for like one player?
Mikal Bridges got traded for 5 first-round picks last year.
Yeah, Desmond Bane got traded for how many firsts?
He got traded for 4.
Yeah. I mean, Luka Doncic got traded from the Dallas Mavericks to the LA Lakers, but Dallas did get Anthony Davis back as part of that deal. Now, granted, they underpaid, but my point is this. How much are you willing, if you're Eric Tulsky and Tom Dundon, the owner? Because, again, let's keep this in mind. Tom Dundon is in on these decisions as well. Tom Dundon doesn't overpay. He never has, whether it was Don Waddell as the general manager or Eric Tulsky as the GM right now. Tom Dundon's in on all these deals. He doesn't overpay. Simply doesn't. The Canes are known for this. Let's find value. Hey, where can I get $1 and only have to spend 80 cents? How much are those guys willing to go all in to get a guy that can help you win right now? Because this Canes team is capable of getting there. You've been to the Eastern Conference Final 2 of the last 3 seasons. Don't forget, a couple years ago, when they lost in the Eastern Conference Final, when they got swept by Florida, all those games were 1-goal games. 2 of them overtimes. And one of those games they lost by a goal as well. The game-winning goal was scored in the last minute. Like, they were right there. Now, Florida obviously has continued to take it to another level. How can Carolina get there? You have to be willing to go all in on a center to improve your top 6. They're still a top 6 center away. That's what this team needs. Now, if I'm Eric Tulsky, that's not going to happen right now. It ain't going to happen overnight, and it might not happen until the season. Heck, go get Brady Tkachuk from Ottawa. I doubt Ottawa's going to give up Brady Tkachuk for anything. But go after Brady Tkachuk in Ottawa. You want to talk about a big physical guy that can score, play center in your top 2 lines, and also is a jerk? Almost said something else. But is also a jerk?
There's a bunch of jerks around here.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Fit right in.
He would fit in. Nazem Kadri, who's a little bit of an older player from Calgary. You want to talk about a guy that's not afraid of crossing the line? The guy's been suspended in the playoffs before. Suspended in the playoffs. But the guy could produce, and that guy could be the jerk. I don't know how much Calgary is willing to give up Nazem Kadri. Who knows? I mean,
I think at least he's a little more realistic of a target than like a Tage Thompson.
Possibly.
Just based on where their team is at, like in their competitive window. They're like on the brink of the playoffs. They're not really championship contenders, but maybe it's time for them to blow it up too. And if we get into the season and they start struggling a little bit, that could be definitely a move I could see happening.
Nazem Kadri, something to keep in mind as well. He's 34 years old, has 4 years left on his deal at $7 million a year, but he also has a no-movement clause. So even if Calgary approached him like, hey, Carolina wants to trade for you, would you be willing to accept the trade? He has a no-movement clause. He can just sit there and just say no. Like, no, I'm comfortable where I am. I want to stay right here. Those are all things that also can hold you back as well. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. By the way, again, the big news, if you're just tuning in, if you've missed it so far, the big news for the Carolina Hurricanes today, it is Nikolaj Ehlers going to the Carolina Hurricanes. 6-year contract, $8.5 million a year. $8.5 million a year, which was right there in projections for the Carolina Hurricanes. That's how much they spent. The projection of what Nikolaj Ehlers would get on the open market on a contract was in that kind of 8.25 to 8.75 6-year deal range. That's what a lot of people were projecting that the contract would be, and that's exactly where Carolina came in. Guess what? Sorry, Washington Capitals. Nikolai Ehlers didn't want to play for you. Sorry, everyone else in the NHL. Nikolai Ehlers didn't want to play for you. Or anyone else that offered him a contract, they didn't want to play for you, and he wants to come to Carolina, and he is coming to Carolina. You excited about it, Max?
I'm very excited. Again, the one thing that is left to address is probably that center position, and that's the main thing we've kind of been looking at for, pretty much since the season ended. But there's no doubt, they have landed the top available free agent forward in Nikolai Ehlers. And while he's not necessarily the most tenacious forechecker, which is the hallmark of the Canes, he brings a little bit of a different skill set. I think it was something I'd have to remember which TSN panelist had mentioned this yesterday, but the fact that he isn't an exact fit in the system, but he brings a lot of the tools that the Canes value, like speed and skill, it almost makes him, a better solution for the Canes because he can help address the scoring woes, like we mentioned earlier, like power play zone entries. He's excellent at. I love it. I love the pickup. He's a player that they've allegedly tried to trade for in the past, been linked to in the past, finally got it done, and now, 6 years, and hopefully we can get over the hump in that time.
6 years and $51 million later, right? It's interesting you bring that up, Max, about the Carolina Hurricanes have been in the works of trading for Nikolai Ehlers multiple times. They've at least sort of inquired about Ehlers multiple times. Now, Winnipeg could also probably sit there and say, well, we're also trying to go for a cup too. If you want us to give up Nikolai Ehlers, we need someone that we feel like can come in and fill that void and help us get to a cup. And the price points maybe just weren't aligned in that regard. But now Carolina gets him and doesn't have to trade for him and give up anything. They just simply don't have to do it. Now, I'm curious, Max, to see what the trickle-down effect is going to be across the NHL now that Nikolai Ehlers has signed with Carolina.
Yes, the avalanche of trades should be coming in any minute now.
So I know Ryan Pagnotta Chris Johnston of The Athletic, my apologies, actually posted this earlier today. He says, something to keep an eye on. Once Nikolai Ehlers makes his free agent decision, there is a sense there could be a spur. Take that again. I'll read this again verbatim. Chris Johnston of The Athletic said this earlier today. Something to keep an eye on. Once Nikolai Ehlers makes his free agent decision, there's a sense it could spur trade activity among the team or teams who fall short in their pursuit of the talented winger. So I think there might be teams out there that obviously saw, okay, we need to go get a top 6 forward. Nikolai Ehlers, let's make our pitch. Let's make our offer. Let's see if he decides to come join us. Okay, he doesn't. What's our next move? Now, apparently, Jordan Kyrou of the St. Louis Blues has been linked out there, or his name's been floated around out there as a potential trade target. Well, Jordan Kyrou is an extremely talented player, already under contract for the next 6 seasons. Bigger guy, 6'1", 196. He's also a heck of a player. He has 3 straight 30-plus goal seasons playing for the St. Louis Blues. I actually really like Jordan Kyrou. I think he's actually a really good player. But he also has a no-trade clause. So how much does he actually want to move away from St. Louis or willing to move away? Does Pavel Buchnevich, who also has a no-trade clause, is that someone that teams go after? Buchnevich is not a small guy. He's actually a former New York Ranger, but also plays for the St. Louis Blues as well. A guy that's consistently 25, 30 goals. And also can play center. Again, not a small guy. What's the trickle-down effect for all these trades? There are a lot of teams out there that still have a good amount of cap space. And the Carolina Hurricanes are kind of still towards the top end when it comes to cap space available.
Look, if we're depending on how much we're trying to stay in the realm of reality, I have something I could throw out here that would be
hit me
fantastic. It would never happen.
We can fantasy book this all you want, Max. Throw out a fantasy here.
I kind of feel
Connor McDavid for Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Make it happen.
I kind of feel like Brian Windhorst that one time where he was like, now why would they do that? So 2026, number 1 overall prospect in the NHL draft, Gavin McKenna. By all measures, going to be a generational talent, somebody that is going to be highly sought after. So these teams that are not going to compete are more, incentivized maybe to lose this year. And one of those teams that's not in the playoffs,
draft lottery,
one of these teams that's not in the playoffs that might want that pick would be Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has the center His name is Sidney Crosby. Now, look,
I get what you're
they're
saying.
never trading him.
They're
They're
not
never
trading
trading
him.
him. But if they wanted to increase their chances at getting a generational first overall pick, it would benefit them to get rid of as many talented players as possible. Now, is that a pipe dream? Is that not realistic? Is that never going to happen? Yes, it's never going to happen. But Eric Tulsky's always making phone calls, and I wouldn't be surprised if he made that one.
Yeah, I bet he probably get hung up on.
Oh, definitely.
It probably would absolutely
It's
get
the
hung
same
up
as calling up Buffalo about Tage Thompson and saying, hey, like, we'll give you KK Jackson Blake and a couple first-round picks. Like, they're still hanging that up, too. So it's something that's out there. In a dream scenario, that's what could go down. But, we live in real life, so.
So, Drew Eatman on our YouTube live chat says, do you think we will get a second center? I think yes. I don't think it's going to happen this offseason. I think there are just too many teams out there. And I'll refer back to, actually, Max, can you go and pull up the soundbite from back on Friday from Eric Tulsky talking about trades this offseason, about being trades player for players. Let me know when we have that soundbite ready. So I want people to hear this. But I remember Eric Tulsky on Friday of last week after the first round of the NHL draft was asked about the lack of trades that were made during the first round, where sometimes you see during the first round of the NHL draft, a team will trade their pick for a player on another team. Well, Eric Tulsky, and we actually have the soundbite pulled up. Great job, Max. Eric Tulsky said that teams generally weren't looking to trade futures. They want more of like players now. Here's what Eric Tulsky had to say.
Almost every team in the league right now is looking to get better. And most years you have a few teams that are deep into rebuilds or starting rebuilds and are willing to move some of their veterans for picks. And this year, almost every team is saying if they move a player, they want players back. And that makes it hard to get deals done because everyone's trying to either, if everyone's trying to add to their team, there's sort of, we can't all add. It's hard to do a trade where both sides add. And so, I think that more than anything else has sort of slowed down the market right now. It's just everybody's looking to do the same thing at once.
Okay, so that's again from Eric Tulsky back on Friday last week. Everyone's looking to do the same thing. If I'm going to give up a player, I want a player back in return. Because there's a lot of teams out there that feel like they are pretty close. Hey, you know what? I'm a player away, or we're just a couple of games away from being a playoff team. I mean, look at last year. I mean, the Columbus Blue Jackets were in it until like game 81, 82. The Columbus Blue Jackets were in it. Hey, feel like, hey, we're a player away, or like maybe just being a little bit healthier, whatever it might be, from being a playoff team. So teams aren't just going to so they just missed the playoffs. Detroit Red Wings feel like they're the same thing. Kind of just missed out on each of the last couple of years. Who the hell knows what the Boston Bruins are doing? They just keep signing meatheads.
Tank for McKenna.
Yeah, well, that might be the play. But teams just aren't really willing to give up players right now for the most part. We've only really seen a couple of players get traded where draft picks were the primary focus of the trade. We saw before the NHL draft, Noah Dobson get traded from the New York Islanders for a couple of picks, but also a player that can play to the Montreal Canadiens. And 2 first-round picks that were this year. We did see the Carolina Hurricanes make a trade for Keandre Miller using a first-round pick, a second-round pick, but also a player in Scott Morrow that maybe the New York Rangers feel like eventually in a couple years could be a good puck-moving defenseman that can play in their top 4. Or at minimum, be on their third pair, run the second power play unit. Maybe he can become that for them, to be determined. So it's really only been a couple of trades where we have seen a player go where the primary thing going back to the other team is picks. It's really only been a couple of those moves. Now, again, one of them did involve the Carolina Hurricanes, but we haven't really seen that yet. The Anaheim Ducks are looking to add players. The San Jose Sharks are looking to add players. The San Jose Sharks are in a position where they just have a lot of really young players that are just learning how to play in the NHL, and they actually just have a bunch of money to spend. But they're also probably not trying to spend too much, knowing the fact that They're going to have to pay guys like Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini in the very near future. Someone did ask, what about bringing up Ryan Suzuki? Ryan Suzuki, I'm sorry, is not the answer for this team. He's just simply not. He's been in this Canes organization for years, and the Canes have had every opportunity to bring him up onto the NHL roster, and there's a reason why they haven't. Just what is the team's actions telling you about a player? If a team is not calling up a player from their minor league system, even though he's been a part of this team's organization for 5-6 years now, there's a reason why. They've had every opportunity. Hey, you know what? Let's see if we can fill our number 2 center role. Well, let's look internally first. That's generally what you do. Let's look internally first. All right, we don't have it internally. Let's go out and see if we can get it. Unfortunately, Ryan Suzuki, not going to be the guy.
Yeah, I think
he's just not.
The development just didn't track on what they'd hoped. I kind of think the same thing sort of happened with Scott Morrow as well. They had high hopes for him. Ultimately, maybe didn't quite hit those heights while showing some flashes, and then ultimately ended up moving him for a more ready now player. So
I think also the Ryan Suzuki thing as well is that he did have that pretty nasty eye injury.
Yeah.
That he literally has a blind spot where he can't see, like in one of his eyes. He took a high stick in a game in juniors and just permanent eye damage. So he literally does have a blind spot. Now, he's obviously been a pretty good AHL player. The Carolina Hurricanes did submit a qualifying offer for him since he's a restricted free agent. But another team can go out there. Any team, by the way, in the NHL could go up to Ryan Suzuki and put a contract in front of him and be like, hey, look, I know they sent you a qualifying offer, but we'll give you a contract. Here's $1 million. And he can sign an offer sheet to another team. And the Carolina Hurricanes could decide to match it if they want to, or let him walk. Any other team around the NHL could sign that guy to be on their team. If they felt like, if another team around the NHL thought Ryan Suzuki could be a top 2 center for them, they would sign him to an offer sheet. They would. But teams haven't. They just haven't. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. By the way, you know what, Max? Let's go ahead and do this real fast. I know some people might be driving. Let's go and open up the phone lines for Canes fans. 919-860-5FAN, 919-860-5326. If you want to weigh in on the Nikolai Ehlers signing, if you want to weigh in on what the Canes have done so far this offseason, phone lines are open. 919-860-5326. I'm going to open up the lines for you Canes fans as our free agent frenzy continues, presented by John Heister Chrysler Dodge Jeep in Lillington. 919-860-5326. Phone lines are open. Next.
Canes fans, your team will be turned upside down.
Said upside down, you're turning me. You're giving love instinctively. Round and round, you're turning me.
Listen all week for our coverage of the Canes free agent frenzy. Instant reaction to all the Canes additions and moves, and the latest signings from across the NHL. It's the Canes free agent frenzy on 99.9 The Fan. Driven by John Heister Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Lillington. Get off your keister and get to Heister.
If Heineken Silver was a 60-second radio ad, it'd tell you all the stuff you need to know in only 30 seconds to keep things light and refreshing. Seriously, time me. Heineken Silver, a world-class light beer that's surprisingly crisp and refreshing. Made with only premium quality ingredients and just 2.9 grams of carbs and 95 calories. All without compromising on taste. Heineken Silver. Order now at Heineken.com/silver. Must be 21 and older to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly. Whew. 30 seconds. That's it. Done. Peace.
Westwood One Sports presents this special tennis update. World number 1 Jannik Sinner hasn't lost a set through 2 rounds at Wimbledon. He addressed the center court crowd after beating Alex Vukic.
As we saw, there are so many upsets to this tournament, so we try to stay focused, we try to raise our level. Today I felt the level was on a good point. Of course I can improve a couple of things, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. 3rd round matches, so let's see what's coming.
Speaking of the upsets, the 4-seed Jack Draper lost to Marin Cilic in 4 sets. Novak Djokovic advancing to round 3 for a record 19th time. Right now, American Ben Shelton is up 2 sets and a break on Rinky Hijikata. Meanwhile, ladies defending champ Barbara Krejcikova needed 3 sets to beat American Caroline Dallaride. She'll face another American next, the 10-seed Emma Navarro. With this tennis update, Brad Heller, Westwood One Sports.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals, and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio, so we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
What other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, it sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Yeah. There's the funk. There's a Parliament Funkadelic right there for you. Getting ready for a holiday weekend. And getting ready for a holiday weekend, Canes decided, hey, you know what? Let's just sign Nikolaj Ehlers, you know. By the way, happy 4th of July. By the way, happy 4th of July to all of you out there in all seriousness. Hope everyone has a good, safe, fun holiday weekend. A built-in 3-day holiday weekend. By the way, 4th of July on a Friday, beautiful.
Well timed.
The
well timed.
best day. 4th of July.
Programming note, too. No shows for us tomorrow.
No shows for us tomorrow. Don't worry, folks. We'll be back on Monday. But we got the news literally just before we went on the air as the free agent frenzy continues, presented by John Heister Chrysler Dodge Jeep in Lillington. Nikolaj Ehlers signed a 6-year contract, $8.5 million a year with the Carolina Hurricanes. We've opened up the phone lines for all of you. 919-860-5FAN, 919-860-5326. Let's go ahead and go to line 1. And someone who I know has been very active in our YouTube live chat. Let's go to our guy Micah in Morrisville. Micah, sound off, my man.
What's up, Dennis? And happy 4th of July coming up.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, I mean, obviously super pumped about Ehlers. I was just throwing out, like, realistic center names because obviously, like, Tage Thompson is sweet. I have a question, though. Were we ever, like, are we linked to them, or were you just talking about it just because, like, that would be sweet?
Just saying that'd be sweet. That'd be awesome.
Okay, yeah, agreed. For sure. I think realistic names, you mentioned a couple of them, but I think, like, we really should look at Kadri. And I haven't looked at anyone's contracts because I just haven't done that. But Kadri is, like, kind of gross, and he's a dirty player. I think it would help in the playoffs for sure, especially when we match up against Panthers. Mason McTavish is also another name. I know his name has been out there. He's younger, and he would help. He's heavy too. I wonder what you think about Steven Stamkos. I think his contract is awful, I'm pretty sure, but I think his experience could help the cup window we're in right now, especially the power play. And then I think Braden Shen, if the Blues are struggling, I think that could be sweet because he's heavy and gross, kind of like a Sam Bennett player. But, yeah, that's kind of all I got.
Oh, you threw out some names there, Mike. I'm going to stay on the line here for you. You threw out the name like Mason McTavish. Mason McTavish is a really, really young player for the Anaheim Ducks. He's actually a restricted free agent right now. Carolina Hurricanes won't be able to make an offer sheet for him. So the only way they're going to be able to get Mason McTavish would be going through the trade route, obviously. But a good young player, put up 50 points this past season. Like you said, a big guy who's 6'1", 218, 220, somewhere along those lines. So it's going to cost a lot, especially for an Anaheim team that is trying to make the playoffs in the Western Conference. So that is actually going to be a difficult thing to do. You did also mention in Nashville, you also have Steven Stamkos. Stamkos has 3 years left on his contract at $8 million a year. But here's the kicker with him. He also has a no-movement clause. So if he doesn't want to leave Nashville, it's his right to say no. You also did mention Kadri from Nazem Kadri, I should say, from Calgary. He has $7 million a year. He's a 34-year-old player, $7 million a year, 4 years left on his contract. Same thing, no movement clause. as well. So any of these guys that don't want to move away from where they are, because let's be honest, there's also the family aspect for these guys. If they got kids and all that kind of stuff in school, hey, you know what? I don't want to pick up and move in the middle of the season right now. I'm going to stand pat with where I am. Those are all things to take into consideration. And I believe you also said Shen from St. Louis as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so Shen from St. Louis, Braden Shen, has a partial no-trade clause. It's 15-team no-trade list. He's making $6.5 million a year. He's 33, and the bigger guy at 6'1", 201. He's consistently, generally has been a 20-goal guy in the league, but maybe that is the number 2 center. I mean, a 20-goal plus player as your number 2 center has been way more productive than what Jesperi Kotkaniemi has been. So maybe Shen could be a guy that they potentially realistically could go after. But, I mean, you threw out some really good names out there, Micah. In terms of actually being realistic, going out and getting some of these guys is not very easy. Micah, thanks for the call. Enjoy your 4th of July weekend, my man.
You too.
Thanks, Micah. All right, let's go ahead and go to line 2 here real fast. Let's go to Hunter in Raleigh. Hunter, sound off with your thoughts on the Canes. Nikolai Ehlers coming to Carolina. Share your thoughts here, sir.
I think all the moves we've done have been really good overall. Ehlers is good, bringing in Keandre. All the moves we have done have made us closer to getting past Florida eventually to go to the Stanley Cup final. I'm going to say one thing that broke my heart. I knew it had to happen, but I'm still heartbroken over it for a little bit. Is I did hate that we got rid of, or that Burns signed with the Avalanche, but I knew it was probably going to happen.
Yeah, the Burns thing, it's sad to say. By the way, I do agree with you. The signings all do make this Canes team better. Like they are, this Canes team is better than what it was when it finished out the Eastern Conference Final last year. As you mentioned, Brent Burns did sign a 1-year contract with the Colorado Avalanche. It's a base salary of just $1 million, but there are $3 million in incentives that are built in because he's over the age of 35. You can build in performance incentives into a lot of these contracts if you're over the age of 35 when you sign the deal. But Hunter, I'm with you. These moves do make the Carolina Hurricanes better. But as many have said, and I'm sure you probably agree as well, is that there are still moves to be made, and they are still capable and have the ability to make that. Of the moves they've made so far, Keandre Miller, Nikolai Ehlers, which one is your favorite so far?
Probably Keandre Miller.
Okay, why is that? Just curious.
I just think we kind of need that edge from a defenseman, that somebody that's going to pair up well with our 1 or 2 line, and somebody that's going to bring that, nastiness that we've been looking for. Like, you don't want to be known as a nasty team, but you also want to be known as we're not gonna take any crap from anybody. Like we need more players like that kind of have that edge with them.
Hey, I'm with you. By the way, Nasty's won 2 straight Stanley Cups, by the way. So, I mean, maybe Nasty's exactly what this team needs. Hunter, enjoy your weekend. Thanks for the call. Have a safe 4th and happy July. Happy 4th of July, I should say.
Happy 4th.
Thank you, Hunter. All right, let's go to Dean in Rocky Mount. Dean's a regular caller. Dean, share your thoughts here on the Carolina Hurricanes, my man.
Well, I'm excited to get Nikolai Ehlers. He's a great player, and I think there are some 2 Cs we could probably afford. The 60-point varieties, about 20, 25-ish goals. But I'm just excited to see what this Aaron Tulsky does. He's really good. Hold on, sorry, I got to catch my breath.
It's okay. I know we're all excited about Nikolai Ehlers here. It's totally understandable here, Dean. That's totally fine.
He's a great player, and Eric Tulsky's done a great job with this team. And I'm just excited for the future of this franchise.
I'm with you. Dean, thanks so much for the call. Obviously, enjoy your 4th of July weekend for sure. But I'm excited about the Ehlers move as well. Now, some people say, well, it feels like it's a lateral move in the sense of, well, we've had a couple of guys that have been 20-plus goal scorers who aren't really big as well. But this is someone I feel like can be a consistent goal scorer. And as Max pointed out, plays a little bit of a different style in terms of he's not just a chip the puck in the zone, heavy on the forecheck type of player. The Canes need a little bit of variety from their wingers. A little bit of a variety. Seth Jarvis, Logan Stankoven, Jordan Martinook, these guys all play the same way. Eric Robinson, William Carrier, these guys as wingers, even Svetch to an extent, all play the same way. Heavy on the forecheck, go win a board battle, then go possess the puck. Whereas Nikolai Ehlers, a little bit of a different style. In terms of puck possession, he can carry the puck into the offensive zone. Those are things that he can provide. So he plays a little bit different than some of the other wingers for the Canes, and I think that's okay. All right, let's take one final call here. Let's go to my man Barry out there in Selma. Barry, I haven't heard from you a while, Barry.
Yeah, well, it's an off season for me.
That's fair.
I didn't grow up with hockey, but I always pull for the Hurricanes, of course. I think Tolsky must be doing a great job. But I'm with you. I think if we're gonna go get one big guy that we really, really need, I think we still need a goalie, maybe. But Smejstikov might be a good trade value because I think he's been a little disappointing.
I 100% agree with you. By the way, let's not discount the fact that this team could eventually go get a goaltender at some point this season if one does become available. But Barry, you're right. In terms of an actual true trade piece that's currently on their roster, their best one it's either Seth Jarvis or it's Andrei Svechnikov. Those are probably their two biggest trade pieces. Oh, no.
No Jarvis.
I'm sorry. Jarvis is you're not touching that. Jarvis is in the glass case. No. You can't touch that one. You can't afford that. But they're the best trade piece because of the contract that he has available to him, and his age is Andrei Svechnikov. Outside of Sebastian Aho.
Very talented.
Oh, yeah, 100% talented as well. Barry, I'm with you. I think Svechnikov, if they do want to make a big move, would probably have to be a guy that would have to get moved in order to get a big return back. That's simply what it's going to cost. Barry, enjoy your 4th of July. I know you're always listening, man. I love you, brother. Be good.
Hey, thank you, Dennis.
Absolutely, Barry. Appreciate everyone for calling here as our free agent frenzy continues on 99.9 The Fan, presented by John Heiser, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep in Lillington. Going to take a quick break. On the other side, we will get to a starting 5. Don't worry, we're going to discuss a little bit more. There are some other things that did happen in the sports world outside of Nikolaj Ehlers signing with the Carolina Hurricanes. We'll touch on those things, but let's be honest. The only thing that actually does matter is Nikolaj Ehlers signing with the Carolina Hurricanes. Let's be honest. Starting 5 coming up next.
The Adam Gold Show.
There's a long way to go before we get to the start of training camp, even the start of the regular season. The Hurricanes roster is not a finished product yet. Keandre Miller's nice. Hopefully he can play the right side because he gives Carolina a future piece if he can play that side. But the roster rebuild is a long way off. We're not close to being done. Patience, people. Patience.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
Did you catch Luisito's header?
Yeah, I just recorded it on my new Samsung A36 5G phone I got for free at Total Wireless.
Oh, I'm actually live streaming the whole match with my new Samsung Tab A9 that I also got free at Total Wireless.
I got that tablet too.
And I got that phone too. We both got both. Go!
Switch to Total Wireless and get both the Samsung A36 5G and the Samsung Tab A9 for free. For a limited time while supplies last, valid in store. Requires new phone activation on the Total 5G Unlimited plan or higher external port and ID verification and new activation on the Total 5G Unlimited 6-month tablet plan. Restrictions apply.
Dear McDonald's, your breakfast menu? Fire. 10s across the board. I could be happy with anything, even though I order the same thing every time. Thanks for not judging me. I'll try something new next time. Maybe.
Get your faves for less. Buy a sausage McMuffin with egg for $2.50 at any size Sprite for $1.49. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Black isn't just a color. It's the presence of infinite possibilities. It's the moment before everything changes. An invitation to something unforgettable.
I won.
Win up to $4 million with Carolina Black Premier from the North Carolina Education Lottery. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning are 1 in 4.18. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Evan Cohen here. Whether you're locking in your home run picks or riding with your favorite golfers this summer, ESPN Bet is your sportsbook for all the action. Go from checking stats on your favorite teams and players to placing bets in just a few taps. Plus, new customers can get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first $10 wager. Download the ESPN Bet app and sign up with promo code USL to get started today. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
This hour of the Triangle Sports Leader is powered by Ritchie Law Firm, Injury Lawyers. Ritchie Law is on top of it.
That one back, that one going, gone!
Go to RitchieLaw.com.
That's RitchieLaw.com.
Broadcasting live from the Lenovo Studios. WCMC HD1 Holly Springs. 99.9 The Fan. The Triangle Sports Leader.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm WRAL meteorologist Mike Mays. It looks like pretty good weather for this evening's fireworks festivities. Got more, of course, coming up tomorrow. Tonight's low around 70, tomorrow 93 with about a 20% chance for a shower or storm. Partly cloudy, the same on Saturday, the high 91.
Weather report brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. 5 o'clock check of your money markets closing early today due to the Independence Day holiday. Closed up 344 points at 244,828.
It's 5 o'clock. Time to serve up the biggest sports stories of the day. Here comes your starting five.
It's the Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Max Gorham producing the show today. The big news, Nikolaj Ehlers signing with the Carolina Hurricanes. Again, Nikolaj Ehlers signing with the Carolina Hurricanes. 6-year contract, $51 million total, so $8.5 million a year, which is about what was projected to be his contract pretty much by everyone. His free agent contract will be this much. We're going to dive into that, trust me, coming up here at the end of the starting five. We're going to dive a lot into it here, but there's a few things in the sports world that we just really haven't touched on today. So, Max, let's go ahead and get into the starting five.
Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The ravine rises, ready to erupt. 3-2 for Kershaw.
Clayton Kershaw, 3,000 strikeouts in his career, only the fourth lefty in Major League Baseball history to hit 3,000 strikeouts in his career. One of my best friends is a massive Dodgers fan. His father's from Southern California, so that kind of got passed along to him, that Dodgers fandom. So I used to just watch Dodgers games with him a lot growing up, and I've actually got a chance to see Clayton Kershaw pitch in person. I saw him pitch at Miller Park in Milwaukee when I used to live in Wisconsin for a hot second, so went to a game and watched Kershaw pitch there, and it was really awesome to see him play. It's one of those players I got to say, like, in his prime, I got to see him pitch, which is really cool. But the way Major League Baseball and just baseball as a whole, the game has changed, I don't really think we're going to see many people hit 3,000 strikeouts in their career, just for the simple fact that guys just don't pitch the innings like they used to. You rarely see guys hitting 200 innings as starting pitchers nowadays. And even though strikeouts are up across baseball as a whole, because batting nowadays, hitting in baseball nowadays, it's either a walk, a strikeout, or a home run, because that's all anyone ever focuses on. So you just rarely see guys just hitting for average or putting the ball in play consistently. But so you see a lot more strikeouts today, but in baseball nowadays, you rarely see starting pitchers get past or through 6 innings.
Plus, his longevity has been crazy.
Yeah.
He's been pitching now for, 17 years, 16 years? So.
He's been doing it for a long time. And also just the way how hard guys throw in baseball nowadays. We see so many arm injuries at such a young age that, again, you don't see a lot of guys getting past 200 innings now in baseball. I mean, you see consistently guys do 250, 300 innings in a year. It always felt like in the prime of Kershaw's career, you could just count on 7 innings pitched. Here's 9 strikeouts. Like, that was just like a normal game. 7 innings, 9 strikeouts, gave up 6 hits and 2 runs. Like, that was a Clayton Kershaw. Like, this is just a standard game. He was just one of the best pitchers in baseball for a long, long time. So, shout out Clayton Kershaw, 3,000 strikeouts. Again, only the 4th lefty in Major League Baseball history to do that. All right, that's number 5. Let's get to number 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
all together.
Trying to settle a bouncing ball. Cuts it back in. Tillman, the fake, turns it inside. And that's Dillatore. Save, rebound, Luna scores! Diego Luna goals in back-to-back games and a perfect early start for the United States.
Hey, goals in back-to-back games. Congratulations to Diego Luna. But also 2 goals yesterday as the United States men's national team in the Gold Cup beat Guatemala 2-1 yesterday. Sets up for a championship in Houston here in the next, I think it's early next week?
It's on Sunday.
Sunday. Sunday. Sunday, USA, Mexico.
USA,
Gold
Mexico, Cup. Independence Day weekend. Ooh.
That should be electric out there in Houston. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and just break down soccer to you all. My name's not Adam Gold. Adam Gold will break down soccer with you 100% for sure. But I always enjoy watching international competition, especially for soccer. We even actually saw the U.S. women's national team beat Canada yesterday. The U.S. women's team did. They both played yesterday. They beat Canada 3-0. I actually watched a little bit of it last night while I was editing Panthers playbook. I just threw on the U.S. women's national team game because I enjoy watching them play. So, yeah, shout out U.S. men's national team. Gold Cup final coming up this Sunday against Mexico. Should be electric down there in Houston. I think they're playing at NRG Stadium, I believe.
Should be. In Houston, I don't know if they have another venue that can fit something like that.
I would imagine it's at NRG Stadium where the Houston Texans play. It's a dome, so you don't have to worry about the weather and all that kind of stuff. It should be an awesome, fun match. And USA-Mexico, when it comes to soccer, it's just like it's a rivalry. It's like Duke Carolina. It's the team right down the road, right? It's the country right next door.
It's good for USMNT. They had some questions going into this tournament. No Pulisic playing. They were in bad form, lost like 4-0 to Switzerland in a friendly, but they've bounced back well. So hopefully they can maintain it and get people excited for the World Cup next year.
Well, I feel like the U.S. men's national team has always been like questions around their team. U.S. women's national team rocks. Men's national team, we finally win something big. Finally. I want them to like actually compete for a World Cup. Like get to a Final Four. You know? I want that to happen. All right, that's number 4. Let's get to number 3.
What?
Yeah, what? I believe that's what a lot of New York Knicks fans were saying when Mike Brown was announced as their next head coach. The retread of coaches in the NBA just continues to happen. Mike Brown, the former Cleveland Cavaliers head coach, who was the first head coach for LeBron James when he was in Cleveland, and then became the Lakers head coach for a couple years, then went back to the Cleveland Cavaliers for a couple years, and then he was like an assistant early on in his career with like the Wizards, the Spurs, was an assistant to Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors for a long time. And actually was part of a couple of championship winning teams, I think actually 3, as an assistant coach with the Golden State Warriors under Steve Kerr, and then was the Sacramento Kings head coach, and then now he's the Knicks head coach. And just the retread of coaches in the NBA, that carousel just continues to turn. I don't know if this really makes that much of a difference than Tom Thibodeau.
They took a page out of the NHL's book. They love retreading coaches.
Yeah, all the time. Like how many? Like where's Peter Laviolette coaching right now? I feel like that guy's been all over the place over the last several years. But yeah, no different here with Mike Brown going from Sacramento Kings as their head coach, now to the head coach officially now the New York Knicks. I think that it was announced yesterday, but we didn't really have a chance to touch on it. But anyway, just want to throw that note out there for people that may have missed it. Mike Brown, head coach now of the New York Knicks. Let's go and get to number 2.
Just the two of us. He'll hand it off for Natchez. Natchez heads up. Back to Orlov. Tees up. He scores! A 1-2 punch from Dmitry Orlov today.
Well, there are a couple Canes that we can now say are former Canes. Dmitry Orlov, you just heard that highlight right there. No longer a Carolina Hurricane, spent the last 2 seasons with the Canes, skating alongside Jalen Chatfield, the defenseman. Dmitry Orlov is now a San Jose Shark, signed a 2-year deal at $6.5 million a year. Dmitry Orlov, $6.5 million a year for the San Jose Sharks. Yeah, for real. Now, San Jose had money that they, could spend, but also needed to spend.
Yeah,
so
coming into today, they were $9 million below the floor.
Yeah, so there is a floor, the word that you heard Max Gorin just say. There is a salary cap, but there's also a salary floor in the NHL where every team in the NHL has to have spent to a certain amount every single year. It's part of the collective bargaining agreement. That way, teams just aren't spending bare bones minimum and just cashing revenue checks. So there's you can't pull a Pittsburgh Pirates in Major League Baseball. You actually have to spend a certain amount of money. So they had money that they needed to spend, money that they could afford to spend. And you know what? Go get a veteran defenseman, Dmitry Orlov, can play on your second defensive pair, $6.5 million a year. He's got that for 2 years. And the Brent Burns era with the Carolina Hurricanes has officially come to an end. He signed a 1-year contract with the Colorado Avalanche, $1 million base salary. Now, in the NHL, if you are signing a contract at the age of 35 or older, they have what's known as a plus 35 contract, I guess, clause, for lack of a better term. If you're over the age of 35, you can sign a contract with a base salary, basically veteran minimum, $1 million. But you can also tack on a bunch of performance bonuses on top of that contract. Now, those bonuses generally most teams will do in the form of number of games played. So the bonuses for Brent Burns all come in the form of mostly of just games played this upcoming season, and he can earn up to $3 million in performance bonuses. It's also a way for teams to sign an older veteran player, but also kind of working around the salary cap. So that $1 million base salary counts against the salary cap initially, and then any of those performance bonuses will count towards the salary cap in the year the contract was signed. If you go over the salary cap, those performance bonuses go into next year. So again, it's a way for teams to sign veteran players without having to pay extra than what they really want to, and it kind of helps them with salary cap savings. But Brent Burns, I always thought if he was going to sign with another team, that Brent Burns would need to go to a team where, A, he wasn't asked to be a top 4 defenseman, let alone playing on a top pair, but also still go to a spot where he could compete for a Stanley Cup. At this point in his career, he's not going to go to a bottom-dwelling team to make a $1 million salary just for the sake of still playing. I think for him, it was let's go to a place where I know I can compete. And guess what? Going into Colorado, great situation. It's a great situation for him. He could be on their third defensive pair. He could be on a really good team. And he could be reunited with a couple former teammates, and Martin Necas as well as Jack Drury. By the way, the guy whose name is on the show, Tim Donnelly, obviously is the Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly today. Tim Donnelly hates tribute videos. He just hates tribute videos.
He should not go to too many Carolina Hurricanes games next year.
Well, I mean, they're going to knock out 3 of them in one game. So when the Colorado Avalanche come to town, now the NHL schedule will be released on July 16th, so we'll know the date then. But when the Canes come to town, when the Canes host the Avalanche, I mean, do you go first period tribute video, Martin Necas, second period tribute video, Brent Burns, third period tribute video to Jack Drury? Like, how do you do that? Like, 1, 2, 3 that way?
Maybe they'll put them all into like a combo one, but I don't even think the timeouts are long enough for them to put any of them together. So
no, that's what I mean. Like, you have to do one each period. That's what you're gonna have to do.
Tim's taking that day off.
Yeah, you just don't go to the game. Just don't go to the game that day, Tim. That's fine. All right, that's number 2. Again, a couple Carolina Hurricanes are now former Carolina Hurricanes. Still haven't seen anything with Jack Roslovic. It would not surprise me if we see something with Jack Roslovic in the next couple of days, especially now that the big news happened, which is number 1.
The one!
Yeah, Nikolai Ehlers, that guy you'll hear Mike Maniscalco announcing those goals this upcoming season. Nikolai Ehlers, the big name on the free agent board, has signed with the Carolina Hurricanes. It is a 6-year contract, $8.5 million per year as our free agent frenzy presented by John Heister Chrysler Dodge Jeep in Lillington continues on 99.9 The Fan this week. And you know what? They capped it off with a big one this week, and that is Nikolai Ehlers again signing with the Carolina Hurricanes. To me, this Carolina Hurricanes team this offseason had a couple of goals in mind, at least 2, if not 3. 1, find a top 4 defenseman that can play on your team right away. Find a top 4 defenseman that can play on your team right away, but also is not just a rental 1-year player. They got that with Keandre Miller. So they did that. Check that one off the box. All right? You got that top 4 defenseman. Because you really just needed 1. Now, how the defensemen all pair up, we'll see that in time. I think there's going to be some figuring it out as you're going throughout the season. That's going to take some time. The second thing they needed to do, they needed to get a legit top 2-line winger, a top 6 forward. Someone actually asked, like, can you put this into football terms? I would say, like, this is the equivalent of a team getting a number 2 wide receiver, like a starting wide receiver.
Like
I would try to say
a really good one.
Like a really, really good number 2 wide receiver.
Like if the Panthers got T. Higgins, kind of.
That'd be a number 1 for them.
Well, that's true.
But yeah, but like a team that's good that got a legit number 2 receiver that they signed in free agency. Like that's the way I would look at it. Someone that you know can step in and help produce on a consistent level right away. That's the way I view it. So you got, again, probably a guy who's actually probably going to be a top-line winger for you, which then now spreads your scoring throughout the lineup. Now, the third thing they need to do, in my mind, is improve the center position. They still need to get a number 1 or number 2 center. They still need to do that. But by getting Nikolai Ehlers as a top, he's probably going to be your top-line left forward or left wing, alongside Sebastian Aho and alongside Seth Jarvis, that's a heck of a top line. One heck of a top line. And he brings a little bit of a different skill set and plays a slightly different way than what a lot of the wingers for the Carolina Hurricanes do, but I think that's a good thing. We see guys like Seth Jarvis, who's very capable of carrying the puck into the zone, but isn't afraid to chip the puck into the corner, get on the puck fast, and come out with the puck in the offensive zone. Logan Stankoven doing that exact same thing. Eric Robinson, Jordan Martinook, Jordan Stahl, William Carrier, Mark Jankowski all play that similar type of way. Nikolai Ehlers is a player that can actually hold on to pucks a little bit more. Similar to what Martin Necas does. Nikolai Ehlers is a player, again, we saw times last year when the Carolina Hurricanes power play struggled. Remember that? When the power play all of a sudden just might as well put it on a milk carton for a stretch there. They struggled, the Canes did, with getting the puck into the offensive zone cleanly. If they didn't win the faceoff and the other team just dumped the puck down the ice, there were stretches in time where the Carolina Hurricanes had struggled getting the puck actually into the zone and sustaining possession. Nikolai Ehlers is a player that can help you in that area of the game. And attacking on the rush on a 3-on-2 can help carry the puck into the offensive zone and also isn't afraid to shoot the puck either. Isn't afraid to do that. So that's an element that the Canes, I thought, were missing after the Martin Necas trade. Now, Rantanen is obviously an extremely good player. Obviously, he's an elite level player. But there was a little bit of that element lost with Necas gone. Now, there are still question marks about this Canes roster. And I think something we got to remind ourselves here, folks, is that a lot of these fixes aren't going to happen right away. Now, you address the top 4 defensemen in Keandre Miller. You got a top-line winger with Nikolai Ehlers. They still need to get a top 2 center, with a little bit of size and an edge to them. Like there's the top line guys for the Carolina Hurricanes, they still need to get a little bit more of that sandpaper grit and edge to them while still producing points. But let's keep in mind that roster move isn't going to happen right away. It's not going to happen overnight for this team. Getting a top 2 defenseman in the top 2 center in the NHL, it's not an easy thing. Especially early on in the offseason if there aren't a lot of teams that are just looking to strip it down. Very few teams in the NHL are really looking to strip it down right now. Now, with the Nikolai Ehlers trade, I saw Chris Johnston of The Athletic post this earlier today, that once Nikolai Ehlers signed, you might see the trickle-down effect of, all right, teams that were trying to get him that didn't sign him, all right, what move can I make now? We might see a dominoes falling now of trades happening in the NHL, which, by the way, the Carolina Hurricanes could be part of some of these trades. I don't think Eric Tulsky and this front office is done making moves. I don't think so at all. I really don't. I think Eric Tulsky is trying to boost that center position. I remember asking him about that. I remember Rob Brindamore actually said it with Adam Gold, if I remember correctly. He said it with Adam Gold once the season ended about how they still needed more from that center position, and even specifically said Kokoniemi. And I remember asking myself, I asked Eric Tulsky about this once the season ended after he had his exit interviews. We had him on the show. And I asked Eric Tulsky about, hey, Rob Brindamore said you need to find and get better at this position. Like, need to get more production out of this position. And I asked him specifically, when you look at the Florida Panthers, how they go Alexander Barkov, Sam Bennett, Anton Liddell, 1, 2, 3 down the middle. And he said, yeah, that's obviously an area that we want to address this upcoming offseason. But he also did add, I'm not going to sit there and focus on that so much that I deny myself the opportunity to potentially make other moves. But it is something that is on his radar. It's 100% something on his radar. He did say it to me about a month ago. Right here on these airwaves, and it's on our YouTube page, so we can go back and find it if you want to. Not the interview that we had with him yesterday, but about a month ago. Eric Tulsky did say they want to improve that position, but being able to make that happen is not going to be an easy thing. We'll discuss that a little bit more at 5:40 coming up. Oh, you do? We asked him this about a month ago?
We do have. He said the same thing. He was talking with Adam, but it effectively seems like he said.
Okay, well, let's hear
exactly
that.
What you referenced.
Let's
go.
go.
We can play that.
Yeah, I mean, we want to get better across the board, and center is a very important position. D is a very important position. You know, our wingers are a strength for our team. I think anywhere where we find opportunity to improve, we're going to take it. Center is obviously a focus around the league right now, and something that if we see opportunities there, we will definitely jump on them. But, you know, we do not want to pigeonhole ourselves as being narrowly focused on one thing and missing other opportunities. We want to take every opportunity we can.
So there you go. Not going to just shoehorn ourselves into focusing on one thing. But the fact that he did address it and did say, yeah, that's something that we need to do. But teams around the NHL are also all looking for that exact same thing. The demand's super high, the supply is very low of teams that are willing to part away with that. It's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. We got a numbers game coming up here, but first, Dennis Cox here for my friends over at Loan Pronto. Folks, you maxed out on credit cards. Maybe you're struggling with high interest debt. You can pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Get cash out now without touching your low-rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The Rapid Equity Loan program at Loan Pronto is amazing. One Loan Pronto client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. It's a massive turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Here's the thing, folks. Your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy, low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now to get a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Call now to get the conversation started. 919-381-1760 or visit loanpronto.com. 919-381-1760. Get debt relief now. Loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781 on approved credit. NMLSconsumeraccess.org. It's the Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. We need a couple numbers game contestants. Feeling excited, Max. We got a pair of tickets. Call 919-860-5326. Again, 919-860-5326 for your chance to compete in the numbers game and win a pair of tickets to see The Offspring with Jimmy Eat World and Newfound Glory at Coastal Credit Union Music Park on July 16th. That's less than 2 weeks away, folks. That's a Wednesday, July 16th. Less than 2 weeks away. But if you want to win a pair of tickets, you got to call the numbers game, or you got to call right now and compete in the numbers game. 919-860-5326. 919-860-5326. You have a chance to play in the numbers game and win a pair of tickets to see The Offspring with Jimmy Eat World and Newfound Glory at Coastal Credit Union Music Park on July 16th. Numbers game coming up next.
Hey, Carolina Panthers fans, it's Dennis Cox from 99.9 The Fan. We're in the offseason, but it doesn't mean me and my co-host, WREL TV's Chris Lee, take a break from our podcast, Panthers Playbook. In every episode, we'll keep you up to date on Panthers news as training camp approaches, insights on the rookies, the free agents, and the surprises, plus all the insider info on the upcoming season. Follow and subscribe to Panthers Playbook wherever you discover your favorite podcasts or watch on YouTube.
It's bow time. Something new just dropped at Bojangles. Take the bold taste of a crispy golden chicken supreme that's been seasoned to perfection, then add dill pickles, Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, and a toasted bun that's great on the go. What do? You get a Bo's Bird Dog. In fact, you can grab 2 of them for $5. So when you're on the go, headed to practice, or need a snack, grab a Bo's Bird Dog. Hurry in before they're gone. Available for a limited time. It's bow time.
There's no time like bow time, but sometimes it's go time. No time to stop, but the perfect time for a Bojangles Bird Dog. A seasoned to perfection Bojangles Chicken Supremes, dill pickles, and Carolina Gold barbecue sauce, all tucked inside a toasted bun. Great on the go. Try 2 bird dogs for just $5 or 2 bird dog combo for just $8.25. Available for limited time only. When you're hungry for flavor and value, it's bow time.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. All kinds of beers and thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
With curbside pickup and delivery available, you'll always find what you love, only at Total Wine and More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
It's time to play the numbers game here on 99.9 The Fan, but we actually had a caller drop. Max, so guess what? We have a phone line, 1 contestant spot still available. We do have Bryce and Clayton ready to play in the numbers game, but 919-860-5326, your chance to compete in the numbers game and win a pair of tickets to see The Offspring with Jimmy Eat World and Newfound Glory at Coastal Credit Union Music Park on July 16th. We need 1 more contestant. A phone line, 1 spot just came open in the numbers game. So call in right now, 919-860-5FAN, 919-860-5326. We need 1 more contestant to compete in the numbers game. I know some people might be driving around or get ready to start your holiday weekend. By the way, happy 4th of July to everyone out there. Happy 4th of July. Hope you're all out there being safe. Hope you're out there just enjoy your weekend with each other. Be safe. Be smart. Don't do anything dumb. Go out there and have some fun this weekend for sure. All right, I believe we have both of our contestants. Second line is full. We have Bryce and Clayton. We have Nick in Holly Springs. We need to determine, Max, who goes first in the numbers game. And the way that we do that, I'm going to ask both Bryce and Clayton and Nick and Holly Springs a question. Max is going to choose his favorite answer. That person will go first. Let's go to Bryce and Clayton. Bryce, it's a holiday weekend. You got the cookout going on a holiday weekend. What's the number one thing you got to have on the grill on a cookout?
Oh, man, it's got to be burgers, right?
I mean, you tell me. It's your answer. So going burgers? We're talking
burgers.
Cheese on there?
For sure.
Cheese on there or anything?
Cheese, no doubt.
Okay, cheeseburgers. Max, any questions?
Bryce, are you throwing the buns on that top rack? Are you toasting those up too?
Absolutely. Got to be toasted.
Absolutely. 100% there with you. All right, Bryce, stay on the line. Let's go to Nick in Holly Springs. Nick, holiday weekend. You got the grill going. What's the number one thing you got to have on the grill on a cookout?
Man, I got to go with the brats with some peppers and onions.
Oh, okay. All right, Max, up to you. You going with the classic cheeseburger, buns toasted there on the top rack, or are you going with the brats with the peppers and onions?
Somebody has said bratwurst every single day.
Every single day this
question.
week.
And I didn't pick it yesterday. I don't think I can pick it now, especially since Bryce said he was toasting the buns up there, so I got to go with Bryce.
Hey, you know what? Nothing wrong with toasting them buns, I can tell you that. All right, Nick, stay on the line. Don't you worry. You're going to have your chance. Bryce and Clayton, you're going to go first. Bryce, I'm going to give you the 4 categories that we have here for the numbers game. You get to choose first, and we'll go ahead and play, all right?
Yep, sounds good.
All right, so we have NFL players that only have played for one team in their career. These are all active players who have only played for one team in their career. We also have NFL players that are born in the state of Washington. We also have NBA Triangle area draft picks since 2010. So these are all guys who played collegiately here in the Triangle and have been drafted into the NBA since 2010. And also NHL Hurricanes throughout history.
I'll do the NFL, the first one.
Okay, so these are NFL players who have only played for one team. Again, these are active NFL players who have only played for one team. I'm going to give you the name of the player and the team. You got to give me the jersey number. 30 seconds on the clock. Try and get as many as you can in 30 seconds or less. You do get one pass. Any questions, Bryce?
No questions.
Okay, Bryce, your time will start when you hear the horn. Joe Burrow, Cincinnati Bengals.
16.
Incorrect. Jonathan Taylor, Indianapolis Colts.
28.
Correct. Fred Warner, San Francisco 49ers.
Repeat that one.
Fred Warner, San Francisco 49ers.
54.
Correct. Mike Evans, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
13.
Correct. Joe Burrow, Cincinnati Bengals.
9.
Correct. Myles Garrett, Cleveland Browns.
99.
Incorrect. Myles Garrett, Cleveland Browns.
90.
Incorrect. So close. You got 4 out of 5.
It's 96. It's 96.
It's 95, actually. So you're still wrong. You got 95, though. So, Joe Burrow, Cincinnati Bengals, 9. Jonathan Taylor, Indianapolis Colts, 28. Fred Warner, he's actually has worn 48, but 54 is the number that he's worn mostly, so you did get that one correct. Mike Evans, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 13. And Myles Garrett with the Cleveland Browns, 95. So you're close. Close to 5 out of 5. So stay on the line. Let's go to Nick in Holly Springs. Nick, are you there? Did we lose Nick?
We actually did lose Nick.
We lost.
He was intimidated by the 4 out of 5, I guess.
I guess so. Nick decided to drop. I guess by default, I believe, Bryce, you're our winner, my man. I mean, that's the easiest numbers game you ever had to win. I mean, 4 out of 5 likely would have won.
Yeah, I mean, he would have had to go 5 out of 5 to beat him, so.
Exactly. Well, I'm disappointed that we didn't get the 5 out of 5, and I'm sorry that Nick dropped at the last second here on you. So congratulations, Bryce. You won the numbers game. Congratulations here, sir. Do we have maybe intro? Hold on. Wait a second.
No, whoever was calling just hung up.
They
I think
hung up
they
anyway.
thought maybe they had a chance to jump in.
We've declared a winner, and it is Bryce and Clayton. Bryce, do you have anything fun planned for the 4th of July weekend?
Heading down to Emerald Isle right now.
Nice. Emerald Isle. That's a great beach. Emerald Isle, Atlantic Beach, that whole area is a wonderful place to be. I'm a big fan of that area. I'm not going to lie. My favorite beach, though, in the North Carolina, it's Wilmington. There's Wrightsville Beach just outside of Wilmington. That's my go-to beach for sure.
Yeah, good spot.
But, yeah, Atlantic Beach, Emerald Isle. Harker's Island, also an underrated place here in the state of North Carolina.
Yeah, no doubt.
Absolutely. Bryce, stay on the line. Max is going to get some information here from you. But enjoy your holiday weekend, 3-day weekend built in, and enjoy it, my man. Stay safe out there.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. So, again, that's Bryce and Clayton, our numbers game winner. It's disappointing. Nick and Holly Springs, it dropped. You might be trying to call back in right now, but I'm sorry, Nick. We declared a winner. Sorry to say that. We are going to dive more into the Nikolai Ehlers news. Again, for those of you who may have missed it, Nikolai Ehlers, the top free agent on the market, signed with the Carolina Hurricanes. 6-year deal, $8.5 million a year. I don't think we should overlook one very key part about the Nikolai Ehlers signing. One very key thing. Yes, it took him a few days in order to make his decision. A lot of free agents, especially if you're a big-name free agent like a Nikolai Ehlers was the top forward out there once the open market hit on July 1st, just a couple of days ago at noon. He was the big free agent forward that was available out there. Now, a lot of guys had signed already before the deadline back with their teams, or like, for example, Mitch Marner was part of a sign-in trade with the Toronto Maple Leafs to go to the Vegas Golden Knights. So a lot of these big names that we were anticipating were already off the board by the time July 1st actually hit. But Nikolai Ehlers, even when those guys were thought to be potentially available, was still one of the biggest names out there in free agency. You know, a lot of people had him as like the 5th, 6th guy, 7th maybe, in terms of free agents available this offseason. And then, again, with a lot of the moves that were made, was the top guy. So he took a couple days to think about his decision. Obviously fielded all the offers. Apparently Utah, Washington were teams that were also in on the mix, but he apparently got a lot of offers from a lot of teams. But it really came down to Carolina and, by all reports, Washington, and again, potentially Utah. The fact that he sat down and looked at all those offers and thought about it for a couple of days. Hey, what's the best situation for me where I can compete and win? And also, what's the best situation for me and my family going forward? He chose to come to Carolina. Chose to be here, knowing fully well what's at stake for this franchise going forward. Knows fully well that this Canes team has been knocking on the door in the Eastern Conference Finals 2 of the last 3 years, has been one of the most competitive teams in the NHL. They're the only franchise that has won a postseason series in each of the last 7 years. The only team in the league to do it. To win a postseason series in each of the last 7 years has been the Carolina Hurricanes. It hasn't been Florida, hasn't been Tampa, hasn't been Winnipeg where Ehlers was, hasn't been Colorado, hasn't been Dallas, hasn't been Pittsburgh, hasn't been the Rangers, any of these other top teams you always constantly hear about in the NHL. No, it's been Carolina. It's been Carolina. And there's one of the things that I enjoy doing going to Carolina Hurricanes games. I like to try and do this once every 3 or 4 games if possible. I like to try and pop over to the visiting team locker room post-game just to hear what other teams and other coaches have to say about the Canes. And the consistent thing I always hear about Carolina is that they are a pain in the you-know-what to play against. Is that they are relentless with their pressure, relentless with their speed, and you don't have a chance to even catch your breath. And then obviously playing at Lenovo is as difficult as it gets to play in the NHL. It is hard as hell to play in Lenovo Center as an opposing team. I consistently hear that from other teams' players all the time. Nikolai Ehlers chose to come here knowing full damn well what this team is trying to do. This isn't hey, you know what? Let me just go get a high paycheck and I'll just keep playing and I'll just cash in. That's not what this team is looking for. That's not what this team needs. And Nikolai Ehlers signing to be here knows full damn well the expectations for this team and the demands of this team on a game in and game out basis and what this team and their goals are expecting for them going forward. And he knows full well that the Canes had to get past the team that's hoisted the Stanley Cup each of the last 2 seasons and was close to winning it a few years ago against the Vegas Golden Knights when they got there. He signed up knowing what was at stake with this franchise. So the fact that he wants to be a part of it, I love that. Not like what we saw with Mikko Rantanen where it was like, well, I didn't want to be moved. Let me just have this very apathetic performance out here in this game. It's not going to be the case. That shouldn't be the case. Because I guarantee you, Eric Tolsky and Rob Brind'Amour is all part of that pitch to all come here. Hey, we're trying to go win a cup. We feel like we're right there. You can help us get there. And we expect the reason why we are offering you this contract is because we feel like you can help get us there. Same thing with K'Andre Miller with the trade. Hey, we want you on our team. And we want you here because we feel like you can help take us to that next level. And K'Andre Miller said, yeah, I'll go play for you. I'll sign an 8-year contract with you guys. That stuff, in my mind, matters. And also kind of breaks that whole stigma, especially with Nikolaj Ehlers signing here, that whole stigma of top guys don't want to play in Carolina. Y'all could kick rocks with that. We'll break down more of what this Ehlers signing means for the Carolina Hurricanes in their future. I don't think this team is done making moves. Now, these moves might not happen overnight. They might not happen this weekend. They might not happen until November, December, January. I don't think this team is done making moves. We'll discuss that more next.
Listen every afternoon for The Drive with Tim Donnelly.
With free agency coming up, I don't know a lot about economics, but I know this. When there's a little supply, it's going to make the demand high. There's not many centers out there, and the Canes need one, so just be prepared for this. Either you're going to get a player you like, but the cost is going to be too much, or you're going to get a player you don't like, but you'll like the cost. You can't have it all.
The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 3 to 6 on 99.9 The Fan.
Westwood One Sports presents this special tennis update. Second round action suspended because of darkness as American Ben Shelton was about to serve for the match against Rinky Hijikata. They'll have to finish tomorrow. Meanwhile, world number 1 Jannik Sinner made it look easy again against Alex Vukic. He's dropped just 12 games total in 2 matches. Novak Djokovic is on to round 3 for a record 19th time, his 99th win at Wimbledon. But more upsets. The 4-seed Jack Draper is out, a 4-set loss to Marin Cilic. American Tommy Paul, the 13-seed, also lost in 4 sets as he dealt with a foot injury. On the ladies' side, defending champ Barbara Krejcikova needed 3 sets to beat American Caroline Dollaride. She'll face another American next, the 10-seed Emma Navarro. 4th seed Iga Swiatek rallied to beat American Katie McNally. She'll face Danielle Collins next. With this tennis update, I'm Brad Heller, Westwood One Sports.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
During KFC $10 Tuesdays, you can get a bucket of golden brown juicy chicken plus 4 dipping sauces for just $10. Or see what $10 gets you at a coffee shop.
Okay, now before you enjoy this coffee, let me explain the process each individual.
Anyway, enjoy KFC $10 Tuesdays. Get your choice of 8 original recipe tenders with 4 sauces or classic fried chicken, both seasoned with our secret blend of 11 herbs and spices. Only at KFC. It's finger licking good. Prices and participation vary while supplies last. Taxes, tips, and fees extra.
Give me a mountain with lots to do. Give me something simple and true. All I need is sunshine and a cool, refreshing Mountain Dew. Yeah, so give me my good friends. Give me that dew.
Grab some ice-cold Mountain Dew today.
Mountain Dew.
Join us at Cocoa Booth Amphitheater this 4th of July. Enjoy patriotic music, kids' activities, and fireworks, all with free general admission.
Happy 4th of July to everybody. Congrats, folks. You made it to the 3-day weekend. Holiday weekend, too. I know there's a lot of people out there that have already started your holiday weekend. That's totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. It's actually the perfect day. Like, hey, you know what? Take 1 day of PTO if you took today off. Or actually, here's the power move, Max. By the way, it's The Drive with Tim Donnelly on 99.9 The Fan. Dennis Cox sitting in for Tim Donnelly this afternoon. Max Gorin producing the show. No show tomorrow, by the way. It is 4th of July. No show tomorrow. Tim will be back on Monday. I'm sure he's going to have plenty of reaction to the Nikolaj Ehlers signing that happened today. We're going to talk about that a little bit more here in a second. We've been talking about it all show today because the news happened literally 2:59 hits the inbox. Canes signed Nikolaj Ehlers, 6-year contract, $8.5 million a year. So everything that we have planned for the show,
scrap it.
Scrapped.
It's nice of them though to do that right before we started, so we could have the breaking news and we could really enjoy it. So shout out Nikolaj Ehlers for dragging it out the perfect amount of time.
Thank you, Nikolaj. I'm going to tell him that first time I see him. Hey, Nikolaj. Thanks, man.
Good for the content.
I appreciate you.
Good for the media. What a guy.
Did one for the team. But obviously, so he'll be back. But if you want to pull a power move with the holiday weekend, if you want to take 1 day of PTO, take it on Monday. Take it on Monday. Enjoy all 3 days of the holiday weekend, and then you just chill and relax on Monday, get some stuff done that you got to get done, and then you come back, hey, 4-day work week. Follow a 3-day work. Follow a 3-day weekend with only a 4-day work week. Back-to-back 4-day weekends, or 4-day work weeks, I should say. That's amazing.
My friend, his job, they offered. I don't remember what week it was. A couple weeks ago, but you could either take Friday or Monday off of a weekend, and like only 4 people, including him, took the Monday off, and then he went in on Friday, and those people were like the only people there, so they weren't. It was effectively like a in-person day off as well.
Yeah.
So. That is the power move, is take the Monday instead of the Friday.
Always take the Monday. Always take the money on a 3-day weekend. Or again, if you want to make it a 4-day weekend, take the Monday. Take the Monday. But you know who's probably enjoying their weekend? Eric Dolsky, Canes general manager. Free agent frenzy continues. We're wrapping up the free agent frenzy this week here on 99.9 The Fan, presented by John Heiser Chrysler Dodge Jeep in Lillington. A big shout out to them for sponsoring this week because there's been a flurry of action in the NHL this weekend. Some of the bigger moves have involved the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, obviously, one of the big moves at the beginning of the week were the Florida Panthers re-signing Aaron Ekblad and Brad Marchand. Those were big moves that happened. Another big move that happened on Monday, Mitch Marner getting traded as a part of a sign-and trade, traded from the Toronto Maple Leafs to the Vegas Golden Knights. That was a big move because a lot of people were anticipating Mitch Marner being the big free agent on July 1st. Well, with a lot of these moves that took place before even free agency started, you know who the big fish was in the very, very shallow free agency pool? Was Nikolaj Ehlers. And the Canes officially made that move happen today by signing him again to a 6-year contract at $8.5 million a year. $8.5 million a year. Which I don't think is an overpay. That really, when a lot of people that do salary projections for players, whether they're people that are National Hockey Insiders, or even there's some different sites out there that do, analytics, projections on this is what this player has done. This is trends of where they're going in terms of some different advanced numbers, comparing those to players who have already signed different contracts. Here's the salary projection for said player. And for Nikolaj Ehlers, it was around $8.5 million over 6 years was the projected contract that he was going to get. So I think in honesty, this was pretty fair value for the Carolina Hurricanes. Pretty fair value in my eyes for the Carolina Hurricanes. So if you start to look at what Nikolaj Ehlers can bring to this team, he's built a little bit different in his style of play than what we've seen from most of the Carolina Hurricanes wingers in terms of get the puck into the zone, in terms of chip it into the corner, quickly get on top of the other team's defense, use speed to get to the puck, and that's how you possess it. And do work in the corner, win the board battle, those kinds of things. Seal the wall, all those stuff. He's a player that was kind of in the sense of Martin Necas, in the sense of his ability to carry pucks into the offensive zone as opposed to just chip it and dump it in. I'm not saying he isn't capable of doing that, but his skating ability, his ability to handle the puck and carry the puck and protect the puck is super beneficial. He actually, there's some different advanced metrics out there when it comes to puck possession, when it comes to offensive zone time, things along those lines, that is actually extremely high, that fits into the Carolina Hurricanes really, really well. And actually an area where he really excels is possessing the puck in the neutral zone, so the areas between the blue lines, which is actually a difficult place for people to handle the puck because there's not a lot of space to work through there, especially when you're in transition, and that is something that he is really good at doing. To kind of throw a little bit of a number out there for people, to kind of give an idea of the offensive numbers and some of the advanced numbers for Nikolaj Ehlers. So if you look at all situations just this past season, so we're talking regular old 5-on-5, 4-on-4 situations in case there's a couple guys in the penalty box, shorthanded, power plays, all different situations, empty net, you name it, in all situations on the ice. Nikolaj Ehlers was on the ice for 87 goals last season. Goals scored, like goals for, and was on the ice for only 40 goals against this past season. So he was on the ice, the goal for percentage, the goal scored percentage, 68.5%. So literally over 2/3 of the goals that were scored when he was on the ice were for the Winnipeg Jets, the team he just previously played for. Sebastian Aho was on the ice for 120 goals scored last year, but was also on the ice for 86 goals against last year. That percentage, 58.2. Now, that was down from the previous season where that goals scored percentage was 67%. So we're talking about a player that is consistently on the ice for goals scored and not on the ice very much for goals against. Now, maybe you want that goals scored number to be higher. Certainly you do, but this is a player that is extremely responsible in terms of, again, puck possession, doesn't turn the puck over or any of those kinds of things. His style of play is a little bit different than Stankoven, Jarvis, Jordan Martinook, and a lot of Jackson Blake. The style of play is a little bit different, but I think they needed a little bit of variety. To put this in terms for people that might not know this, or for example, I know Tim likes to use football analogies. Sometimes it's okay to have a guy that can stretch the field as a wide receiver and also have guys that are the quote-unquote possession receivers that do a lot of the underneath routes. If you have a bunch of guys that do the same thing, sometimes it's easier to defend against. If you have a bunch of guys that just do the same thing, you need to have a little bit of a variety, and I think that's what Nikolaj Ehlers can provide this team. But brass tacks, this Carolina Hurricanes team, brass tacks, with Nikolaj Ehlers being added to the team, with Keandre Miller being added to the team, and the only players that are lost are Dmitry Orlov, Brent Burns, Jack Roslovic. Like, that's really like the regulars that are lost from last year. You add Ehlers, you add Miller, and you have Alexander Nikishin coming into the fold, and you have your younger players ascending like Stankoven and Blake and some of these others. Well, guess what? This Canes team right now is better than it finished at the end of last season. It's better now than what it was at the end of last season, and there's still room to make some moves. The Free Agent Frenzy this week has been presented by John Heiser Chrysler Dodge Jeep in Lillington. Thanks to you. Enjoy your holiday weekend. Subscribe on YouTube, 99.9 The Fan. You enjoy your holiday.
The Adam Gold Show.
There's a long way to go before we get to the start of training camp, even the start of the regular season. The Hurricanes roster is not a finished product yet. Keandre Miller's nice. Hopefully he can play the right side because he gives Carolina a future piece if he can play that side. But the roster rebuild is a long way off. We're not close to being done. Patience, people. Patience.
The Adam Gold Show, weekdays starting at noon on 99.9 The Fan.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. 'Cause I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Stay informed with The Rundown, the daily newsletter from High School OT that delivers the most important high school sports news and insights straight to your inbox. Brought to you by High School OT and powered by our sponsor, First Carolina Bank. Subscribe to The Rundown at highschoolot.com.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, and it's no surprise. Same game parlay from Bet365 just keeps getting better.
Well, it's even easier to make a bet. Choose from the most popular markets like hits, run line, totals, and home runs. So many to choose from.
Download the app, start building your bet, and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in North Carolina. T&Cs apply.
It is I, Juan Carlos Santiago del Santiago, the coolest man in the world. Yes, I am back in Raleigh. Do I go downtown with so many places to party? No, I go to the Shocky's place. The good food, the fine drinks, the coldest of beers, and of course, the many, many beautiful people. I always hang at the Shocky's place, the coolest bar in the world, because, well, it was built for me. Juan Carlos Santiago del Santiago, the coolest man in the world. The Shocky's place, 8800 de Raleigh Road by the Shelley Station.
And we're back talking all things connectivity with Spectrum customers Kev and Melissa. So tell us, how long have you been with Spectrum and how important is a reliable internet connection?
We've been Spectrum customers since we moved 12 years ago. The first thing we did is sign up for Spectrum Internet.
You get a lease, you get Wi-Fi.
Yes,
immediately.
We need that. We had Spectrum Wi-Fi before our couch got here.
That's true. That's a true story.
I'll sleep on the floor, but I won't go to bed with no internet.
You heard it here. Switch to Spectrum now.
I'm attorney Brian Ritchie. Workers' comp can be tricky, but my law firm will be on top of all the complicated paperwork and sneaky deadlines so that all of your I's are dotted and T's are crossed. If you've been hurt on the job, I'm on top of it. Contact us at ritchielaw.com.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm WRAL meteorologist Mike Mays. It looks like pretty good weather for this evening's fireworks festivities. Got more, of course, coming up tomorrow. Tonight's low around 70, tomorrow 93 with about a 20% chance for a shower or storm. Partly cloudy, the same on Saturday, the high 91.
Weather report brought to you by Newcomb & Company, where your comfort is their business. Visit newcombandcompany.com. For Dennis Cox, I'm Max Gorin. Thank you for joining us on The Drive with Tim Donnelly this afternoon as we enjoyed breaking the news of Nikolaj Ehlers signing in Carolina. That is a 6-year deal at $8.5 million per. Be sure to search 99.9 The Fan on YouTube and hit subscribe. We are on the climb towards 18,000 subscribers, and we'd like to hit 20,000 by the end of the summer. So make sure to hop on YouTube, watch our shows live, hit subscribe, and get us to that goal. Got a programming note for you. No live shows for us on The Fan tomorrow. We got the holiday this weekend, but we will all be back on Monday. Until then, thanks again for listening, and we wish everyone a safe and happy Independence Day weekend. Let's go, Canes.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Guardians right-hander Luis Ortiz under investigation by Major League Baseball after a betting integrity firm flagged a pair of his pitches that had received unusual gambling activity, one on June 15th, another on June 27th. Ortiz was placed on non-disciplinary leave through July 17th. WNBA, Indiana star Caitlin Clark will miss her 4th straight game with a strained left groin tonight against Las Vegas. She also missed a couple of games earlier this season with strained quads.